ball recruits going to BYU. This owner feels like they got the All-Star game. Like maybe Utah's a hot destination right now.
No chance.
I don't know. There's something going on.
Not among NBA players.
Maggie and I were talking about this before. Lifestyle-wise, is there any way that Ace Bailey falls in love with Salt Lake City?
Every guy that plays there says they like it, and then they still end up wanting out. Like, Donovan Mitchell talked so highly about the fans, Utah, and then eventually he was like, all right, I want out of here.
I think that they might be building a culture change in Utah sports. I think it's going to be like a go-to place.
When?
Smirked.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't sound very confident.
Why is BYU getting all these great players? Like, what's going on there?
Johnny Manziel, money sign, baby.
But I mean, it's not just money. Other people were playing like they got the best quarterback in the country, and they didn't outbid everyone by that much. I think that there's something going on in South. There's a revolution in Utah sports. Let me hear from you, Utah. Who's in? Manny, they have multiple wives. Come on, baby.
I'm in.
You can't get one. No, Manny's got his hands full right now.
Yeah, don't make this harder.
We'll get to Manny's love life in a little bit. Bogusch has headlines for us.
Those headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. It would not be a draft without a stunner or two.
With the 16th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Yang Hansen from Zibo, China, and the Qingdao Eagles.
Over under 3 weeks until Pearl tells us to get on the bandwagon of the Qingdao Eagles.
Oh, you mean the Chinese Nikola Jokic, as I heard described last night? Yeah. Doesn't take 3 weeks. I'm on.
This was the Blazers pick, by the way, announced as the Grizzlies. And they go way off the board at number 16 with 7-footer Yang Hansen from China. Apparently, nobody had him projected in the first round. If this was the NFL draft, I wouldn't have made a capsule for him for our coverage, which is why Hansen wasn't invited to the green room. He was chilling in his white suit in the stands when his name was called last night.
I love that when the guy comes anyway. Yeah. I think Giannis did that, right?
That's
Wasn't he plucked out of the stands? Yep. I think it's cool.
I was laughing. I did find Stephen A. on ABC, and Stephen A.'s commentary. I cannot tell you anything about this man. But I will tell you. And then he tried to make up some fact that had nothing to do. Like he had no producer had given him anything to say about this guy, and he just froze.
I will say this though, to even give him some bit. I mean, you guys know how much of the NBA draft. When I heard his name come, I literally said, "Who?" I did not know who that was. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. But then, you know what? Like Mike Schmitz is the assistant general manager of the Portland Trail Blazers. He is as tapped in as the NBA draft as anybody. This is definitely his pick. Because no one else would have thought to draft this guy in the first round.
Yeah, I mean,
stay off the weed.
At some point, if you're taking multiple trips to China and you are expensing that to the company dime, like you got to make it work.
That is blasphemous.
But I guess the question is, do they have to take him there?
No, definitely not. They probably could have traded back, traded all around if they wanted to.
He is 7'2". I mean, like,
I saw.
It seems like what's wrong with a 7'2" prospect?
Ironically,
work the draft a little.
Jonathan Gavoni, ESPN, who worked very closely with Mike Schmitz, which is very ironic, was like, there was word that maybe someone may take him in the first round, but I'm like, I haven't heard that word.
He said it. The player said it. That's why he was there last night, because he thought, or they thought, he could go at the end of the round. That's why he was sitting there last night. But so 16 even surprised him.
But the highlights are good. I mean, it's 7'2". Also, is
there a guy in the river with bad highlights?
That's a great point. Actually, you know what's funny? The Arizona kid who scored 6 points a game.
Cardi,
his highlights were kind of There were a couple guys then you get the real highlights. You go to Twitter and you see them shooting drills and can hit the side of a barn. But the funny thing about him is, I think he's going to be okay. Like there's all of a sudden it was like, oh, I like this guy. A lot of people on social media like the upside is tremendous here. And a lot of centers went way higher than expected, right? That was one of the themes last night.
That's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. And I thought, Bob Myers, had a really good critique, I think, of what's going on, because you had the Suns who now have 2 centers. They traded for Mark Williams and then drafted Malawach at the same time. And he's like, listen, if the position that's most likely to be taken completely off the floor is center. It's the most.
I love that line.
So to draft a center when you just drafted Klingon last year, and for the Suns to acquire 2 centers, it's a lot of capital into a position that you may not even be playing.
No, I get it, but think about the messenger there. Bob Myers, death lineup. Golden State Warriors. Not everybody can do Draymond Green playing center and go on and have a dynasty. It's just like they made it work in Golden State because they had 2 of the greatest shooters of all time. Not everyone has that.
But no, he brought up a point. Like he's like, look at every single playoff team, including the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder had to get smaller because their centers were getting cooked. And I know Chet Holmgren won your Defensive Player of the Week, but they had to take him off the court because
but there were times when they also had him and Hartenstein playing together.
Yeah, and that was not working. That's what Myers was talking about specifically last night. It's like even Oklahoma City had to get those guys off the court at a certain point. Because the key to the NBA is getting a guard, getting a center to come out and cover a guard. And it's like Kyrie Irving is death. So, but then a ton of them went last night, like a lot of 7-footers. I think the model is the Mavericks with Gafford and Derek Lively. Like everybody's trying to recreate that. So,
but those guys are super athletic, which is kind of what's happening in Phoenix. So maybe that's what they're thinking.
Are you saying Yang Hansen is not athletic?
I was saying that is not what's happening with the Portland Trailblazers. Klingon and Hansen, those guys are more. They're agile, they're shifty, but they're not athletic.
Are you stereotyping white and Chinese players, DJ?
I'm just calling like I see it.
You guys are also saying Hanson like he's an mbop singer.
Yeah. How do you pronounce it?
Hansen?
Yeah, Hansen.
Oh, sorry.
Again, all strangers.
Sure, I'm sure that's not how it's actually pronounced either.
He'll be Hansen in about 3 weeks.
That's what the NBA guide says.
He's Hansen in Portland.
Exactly. The night in Brooklyn began mostly as expected. You guys have run through Cooper Flagg to the Mavs, Dylan Harper to the Spurs, VJ Edgecombe to the Sixers, then Con Knipple to the Hornets, and then again the Jazz took the ace Bailey Gamble at number 5. The champion Thunder used number 15 on Georgetown center Thomas Sorber, and Walter Clayton Jr. went from the NCAA title to the Jazz through a trade with the Wizards. Now, it was hard to concentrate on all that stuff because news was breaking that the Knicks are poised to interview former Hornets head coach James Borrego for Tom Thibodeau's job. Wow. This is really going well, guys. Really going well.
Kind of like the Nets draft night last night.
Well, that was a rough one. We'll get to the Nets in a little bit.
Max Muncy's getting good at this.
0-2 pitch from Kinley. And Muncy swings, hits a drive, deep right field, way back, it is gone! Max Muncy with a grand slam, his second one this week.
Max Muncy's 6 RBI in this 8-1 win at Coors Field. The other grand slam came Sunday when he drove in 7 in a win over the Nationals.
I felt bad for the second baseman in that game for the Rockies.
Yeah.
Where it starts a driving rainstorm. I mean, you could see the drops on TV. It was just huge. And so there's a pop-up, and he loses it in the rain. 2-run score. He wasn't even close, by the way. He was like covering.
He bailed.
He was covering his head. Just didn't want to get hit with it, and it must have landed 30 feet away from him.
And that was Muncy. Those were his 2 other RBIs because that's a single. The 22-year-old White Sox fan who taunted Arizona second baseman Ketel Marte about his deceased mom 2 nights ago has been banned indefinitely from all major league stadiums. This loser did apparently apologize for his words when security came to get him. And the WNBA last night, the Liberty held on for an 81-78 win at the Valkyries. Brianna Stewart, 23 points and 10 rebounds.
Folks, thanks. We got winners. We got losers from last night. We've got NFL news for you as well. And later on in the show, as we mentioned, the Mount Olympus and Maggie Perloff, the 4 sports gods from Baltimore. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Living life in 20-second views. Scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daily's keeping score. YouTube's his love. He's begging for more. Double tap.
Yeah. Down in Music City, there's a man named Jay's too.
4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie Perloff Show. We got a lot of NFL for you today, including at the top of the hour, we will ask, what is the NFL playoff team from last year that's going to miss the playoffs this upcoming season? Perloff and I have our thoughts on that. We will tell you. I just want to bring everyone's attention to something that happened last night that we've never seen before in the history of professional sports. Well, definitely the NBA. NBA draft was last night, first round. Never seen this before.
Penn State are going first round in the NBA draft.
As shocking as that was.
John Amici?
I've got something even more shocking. Yeah, Penn State hoops. Catch the fever.
We are.
Penn State.
Do you do whiteouts for the hoops?
Yeah, we do.
I mean, the volleyball I know is amazing. Anyway, that's not about Penn State, Manny. We'll get to them when we talk about James Franklin and Drew Aller. The Brooklyn Nets had 5 first-round picks. When I tell you that it would have been the most shocking thing in the world if they had actually selected 5 human beings with those 5 picks, I would have bet my life savings, whatever I have. No shot you actually take 5 people with first-round picks like that, Pearl, because we know the draft picks immediately when you actually select a dude become way less valuable because we have no idea. These are all lottery tickets. You have no idea if any of these are going to work out. Yeah, kind of. The moment you drive it off the lot, boom, loses value. The Nets took 5 people.
Yeah, but
they selected 5 human beings last night in the first round. Never happened before because it's insane.
Well, what were they supposed to do?
You work the draft.
Nobody wants a 26th pick in the NBA draft. Like that's another guy you have to stick on your roster somewhere. Like there's no value to that. What do you think they were going to get?
No, the value is just in the idea of the pick, of the first round pick. How many times do we see guys get traded and they have 5 second-round picks or 3 second-round picks or 1? The pick is actually more valuable as the pick than it is as Danny Wolf from Michigan or whatever.
Well, those are future picks when you don't know where they're going to go. When you know it's already fallen to 26, the value's gone.
Right. So, no, but you can trade picks during the draft for future picks. It happened last night where the Pelicans end up trading up 10 spots to get Derek Queen and left unprotected picks for next year. You can work the draft.
That was lucky because you have to find a dumber franchise than yourself. And
it's the NBA.
Well, that trade was particularly crazy, but nobody wants a 20. Bob Myers was talking about this. Like people don't understand how little the value is of a 20s NBA pick. Like teams don't want that. They're taking risk on future picks. And if that future pick doesn't become a high pick, then it's paper.
But the problem though is then they only drafted one guy that's probably going to be stashed.
Well, I was wondering, but they drafted, 3 foreigners, though? You're saying only one of those guys is going to be stashed?
I don't think Traore is being stashed. I don't think that Demon's definitely not being stashed.
No, he's their number 8 pick.
Yeah,
he's got to be showed.
But those guys are all 19 and 20 in overseas play. They're young, though. I don't actually know about the Israeli kid.
Yeah, I mean, only Demon played at BYU, so he's an NBA player. He's playing. Yes, 2 other guys were foreign, but Traore is one of the top guards in this draft. He's not. I don't think he's being stashed.
He's a top 20 pick.
Right?
Do
Yeah.
you stash a top 20
I would be surprised.
Yes, you always stash. That's like they used to stash those guys all the time. They not stash them anymore.
Also, you're the Nets. What are you stashing?
The 19th pick in the draft isn't typically getting stashed. Not typically. Maybe he is. I would be surprised by that. I could be Sarif being stashed, but the problem is if you're gonna have at least 4 of these guys on your roster, all these guys are going to come up in the same contract situation. So in 4 years, if these guys are great, get ready to get rid of one of them because you're not going to be able to pay all these guys.
So you would have traded, say, the 27 pick for a second-round pick? What were you going to do?
You could try to get multiple second-round picks potentially. You got to consolidate.
I don't know. I hear you, but I guarantee they got no real offers for it. And they wanted to take a pick in the top 10. Then after that, they were probably offered nothing.
Okay, well, there's another problem here because this guy, Igor Demon, who they took from BYU with the 8th pick, seemed like that pretty much shocked the hell out of everyone also. Is there a possibility you could have been working the draft even to trade down to make sure you can still get your guy? I don't know. It seemed like last night people were very surprised that he went in the top 10. Especially when Malawak was really the guy they thought was going to be there from Duke. Anyway, I just find Sean Marks is the GM of the Nets. I know nobody cares about the Nets, but
I don't think you understand quite how little people care about the Nets, but
he's not new to this, right? This is a guy who has been through multiple rebuilds now. Had it fall into his lap that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both wanted to go to Brooklyn. Got James Harden. I mean, that couldn't have gone worse. I just wonder how do you mess this up? This is just not smart to me. If I'm the owner of the Nets, I'm like, what did we just do?
I kind of get it. I mean, at least I get it. They're taking dart shots here, which is really once you you might as well take a bunch of darts. Do you think they're going to have to re-sign all 5 of these guys? You think these 5 guys are going to be re-signable?
If things go well,
there's no way all 5 of these guys hit at the same time.
Then why did you draft them?
Even if it's 3 of them, my thing is, even if it's 3, that's a lot of first-round picks you're trying to sign. Either way,
that's kind of the way the
Thunder have been.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to re-sign guys all the time.
Right, but not in one draft. Not three guys. I mean, they drafted Dieng a couple years ago. Like, he's not playing, so signing him back is going to be easy. Like, the Nets have nobody. Like, these guys are going to have to play.
Honestly, from the lack of buzz around all of these dudes, also, it seemed like it could have been more valuable just as picks. Like, again, to just be traded them as opposed to actual people.
But I really think 28, 26, and 27, I think you would have to take second-round picks on for that. Like, what's the point of getting, like, a future second, really? Like, do you think a future second is going to change the Nets' fortunes?
Well, yeah, but like going back a couple of picks and taking a guy who probably could have been in the first round is not bad value.
I just am surprised that if you were going to tell me, Maggie, we're going to see history in round 1 of the draft, I'd be like, wow, that's going to be really exciting. Nope. It was a team taking 5 first-round picks.
Has anyone ever had 5 first-round picks?
I can't think of that ever happening.
Again, you're making history for all the wrong reasons. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We get to the NFL next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Get back to the NBA draft in just a moment, but we have some NFL we've got to get to. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And here's the question. Of all the playoff teams from last year in the NFL, who is going to be the team that's going to drop out?
Okay, we only have to do one team because there are many teams that usually, the average, like 3 or 4 teams usually drop out. I feel like I got this one, Mag.
Okay.
I feel like I nailed it. The team that is going to drop out is going to surprise you because they made the playoffs a lot lately. Tampa Bay Buccaneers out.
Okay.
Is that weak to take the NFCs out? Tampa Bay Buccaneers out, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
This is a function of schedule. They have, according to Warren Sharp, who sets a schedule based on Vegas odds, strength of schedule, has the Bucs at number 10 overall. Not that bad, not good. Their schedule is actually pretty brutal. I'm surprised it's even that high. The Falcons have the easiest schedule, one of the easiest. They have 4th easiest in the league. The Bucs have this brutal schedule, and let's face it, we've all been waiting for the Bucs to show their age. I mean, this core is getting up there a little bit, and Chris Godwin, I think they paid to bring him back, like coming off a major injury. I feel like the Bucs have just been taking advantage of a weak NFC South. So you ask who's going to take that spot.
Yeah.
People here like Bryce Young. I'm not sold yet. Nope. New Orleans, no.
Yeah, no.
They're clearly tanking. Smart move. Atlanta, I'm ready. I'm putting my faith in my guy, Michael Penix. They finally drafted some pass rushers this year. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. They are going to coalesce around Michael Penix and all these draft picks they've been collecting over the years. And the Atlanta Falcons finally win the AFC South.
And is Kirk Cousins on this team? Does he play a role in this at all?
Finally! Nope. This is
a Penix only project.
This is a second-year quarterback explosion, which we've had a lot of the NFL. The other thing, Penix is even old for a second-year quarterback. He's ready to go. As long as I'm going to assume he's healthy. I don't know why I'm assuming that.
Yeah.
Feels like he's turned the corner. I think even last year in his limited action, the guy obviously can spin it. His passes are beautiful. I think he's ready to go. I think he's going to lead them to the title. I do think, come on, at some point, Tampa Bay is definitely Mike Evans. I mean, how much longer is this guy going to last? Chris Godwin coming off an injury, like they feel a little bit like they're getting up there.
If Penix looks really good, so I think why I actually still like the Bucs here is because I think they do a good job of sort of having the older veteran guys and then mixing in those younger guys.
Ooh,
Penix. You're talking about, Evans and Godwin, but they also got Emeka Egbuka, who I know you absolutely love. Their offensive
rookie receiver, yeah.
I'm just saying he's got a Hall of Famer in Evans, because we can't mention Mike Evans without mentioning the fact that he's a Hall of Famer. It's like Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard. He's become that thing. And they have this offensive line that's got this sort of mix of young and old, and I think the defense has also been this cool mix of young and old. Like, Vita Vea's not old. He's amazing. Some of these other guys, when you talk about Levante David is a dinosaur, but he's like the veteran guy, kind of coach on the field sort of dude. And with Todd Bowles.
Levante David is really old, and Vita Vea is 30. I mean, he's not young.
2018 draft class, I guess. I think I'm for Vita Vea.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
Hassan Reddick now getting added. He's just basically had an all season
old
off.
Too.
Anyway, I'm not jumping off of the Bucs right now. The Atlanta thing is very interesting because I think you definitely have a head coach and GM on the hot seat without a doubt.
I mean, well, you have a GM who should have been fired.
Right,
already,
but now you're saying his draft pick and this crazy thing they did, which was signing Kirk Cousins to $100 million, then drafting Penix with a top 10 pick, that this is going to work out. If Penix does work out, you got to give Terry Fontenot like a lifetime contract. If they actually found their franchise QB, Terry Fontenot's not going anywhere.
Well, but you have to admit, like, there's names all over this roster. That's why I picked him last year. I'm like an idiot. But, I mean, they still have Bijan Robinson, who's amazing. They still have Drake London, who's very good. Defensively, they finally just started drafting defensive players, which they hadn't done for years. They never drafted pass rushers. Can they get any pressure on the quarterback? That's always been the problem. So they got Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. in this year's draft. I have a little faith that they can at least generate something defensively.
Well, it's
because
long
it's really been a
overdue.
long time. Yeah, exactly.
It is, but let's think about it. What were we saying the day after the first round of the draft? That the Falcons overpaid for Pierce, right?
Yeah,
by
but
getting rid of next year's first round pick. And
that's
there
a
was
future problem.
That's fine. But there was a question. Here's a now problem. Does he love football? Now, that might be stupid because we asked the same thing about Myles Garrett. Clearly, he loves football. You can love dinosaurs and football at the same time. Turns out you can have two great hobbies.
My understanding of James Pierce is not does he love football? Can he stay out of trouble off the field?
Is he committed? I guess is maybe the better way to put that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just because, just because you're a pass rusher who's eccentric, that doesn't mean anything. Like you say hi and you go kill the quarterback. I don't think you need, there's no science to this. Like Charles Haley's one of the great pass rushers I've ever seen, and he was totally out of control as a player, reportedly. I don't know. A defensive end, does it matter?
Well, you got to keep your head on the straight and narrow. You
No,
can get into a lot of trouble in
the
Atlanta.
better.
Well,
Yeah, you got to stay on the field. I agree with that. But I'm not sure. I never really heard that he doesn't love football. I just heard that he just found his way into trouble a couple times.
There was, I think, a reason why his draft stock was sinking, and maybe the Falcons will be the great beneficiary of that. Maybe they won't. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We're asking you today, what playoff team from last year do you think is going to fall out of the playoffs and not be a playoff team this year?
Yeah, by the way, PFF always loves Atlanta Falcons offensive line. That always gets pretty good grades. So, and Bijan Robinson's a stud. So just want to point that out. Let's not forget to give Bijan love.
Love him. Okay, so here's my question, though, about picking a team from the NFC.
Yeah.
Who do you think is there another great NFC team that you think is really close to being a playoff team, kind of chomping at the bit? Maybe it's the Chicago Bears.
Giants.
Well, Vegas would beg
Sure.
to differ. Maybe it's San Francisco. Like there are some other NFC teams who obviously would come in, and this would be a division winner you're talking about, so it's a little bit different, but who is really a playoff caliber roster, but just not make the playoffs.
Well, clearly San Francisco.
Right.
If they're healthy, definitely.
I didn't go with an NFC team because the AFC to me has so many teams that are right there. So the wild card spots for the AFC, I think, are going to be just really good teams, 10-win teams that could get left out. I just think the competition in the middle of that is going to be stiff. And here's what I'm talking about.
I really have no idea who you're talking about right now.
Well, I think it's going to be the Denver Broncos who are going to fall out of the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. Their division has gotten better, right? You get Jim Harbaugh year 2 in LA with the Chargers. They were a playoff team last year and then suffered a really bad loss to Houston, but I don't think they're going anywhere. And I do think the Raiders are now a thing. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but they're not going to be a walkover anymore. I think that these games could be more competitive just by simply having Pete Carroll in the building.
Okay.
And then the Chiefs, listen to what they're talking about. They want their offense to be back on 10 again. So I think it's going to be just as tough in the division as humanly possible. You have the Bengals, who should be a playoff team when Joe Burrow is healthy. You have the New England Patriots, who people love now as a sexy playoff pick. Jacksonville could be back up if Trevor Lawrence is healthy. They got Travis Hunter. That is exciting. There's just so much talent to me. Not that there's not in the NFC. I don't want you to get defensive about the NFC, but there are so many teams that I think could be clear-cut playoff teams in the AFC, and there's just not going to be enough spots. So to me, I think the Denver Broncos are that team that's going to fall out. And listen, they did some great stuff this year. Some of their signings on defense, I know, got really high praise, but Dre Greenlaw already got hurt again. Hufanga is hurt a lot, even though he can be very good. There's a reason, I think, why the 49ers were willing to let those guys go. And, you're going to be asking some young guys to step in there. I don't love Denver as much.
Gosh, that's so funny. You said Jim Harbaugh's in year 2. Like Sean Payton is getting his team. And the thing about this team is their defense is awesome. Their defense is brutal, and they added a lot to it this offseason. So I think their defense carries them. It's funny. I would think of it. You just said the AFC is better than the NFC, and you mentioned garbage teams, the Raiders, the Jags. I mean, what are you talking about?
No, well, the Raiders, I think, are just going to make life in the AFC West that a little bit tougher.
But you mentioned Jacksonville. Am I missing something there?
Well, I think Jacksonville has a chance. If Trevor Lawrence is healthy again, Travis Hunter, you absolutely love. I don't know how much he's going to actually play both ways, but
San Francisco missed the playoffs in the NFC. I think the balance of power is subtly shift to the NFC out of nowhere.
But that's fine. Do you think the Bengals are going to be a playoff team? Oh, okay. Well, then maybe you and I see the. What about the Patriots?
No.
Okay, then you and I see the.
AFC
maybe,
different. But no, I don't. I definitely think that the NFC teams are way better. Like the bottom of the NFC, the Vikings are stacked. I mean, and they have a great chance of falling out, and they're probably one of the most loaded rosters in the NFL. The Niners are totally stacked. The Rams are ready to go.
But the Rams made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying, as far as talent and the great teams, you have those 3 really good teams. Like the Bears are the 4th team in the NFC North. I mean, they're really good too. They've loaded up and down. There's just a lot of talent. The quarterbacks are better in the AFC, definitely. I understand.
Yeah.
But just the rosters are much better in the NFC now. The balance of power is shifted over towards the NFC.
I just think, I guess you and I see some of these middle of the pack AFC teams that, I don't say boom or bust, but teams that we're not really sure. I see the more of the upside on those, probably because of the quarterbacks than not. And
I mean, they might because of schedule. Like maybe the Patriots get in because they don't play anybody, like the Chargers and the Broncos. But you have even a team like, Dallas, for example. Like Dallas is pretty stacked with veterans. Like there's a lot more depth in the NFC.
Do you think Dallas is making the playoffs?
No, I don't. But I think they're a pretty good team. If Dak's healthy, they have a really good young offensive. That offensive line gels. That's a good team, and I think they're going to be frozen out because the NFC is really good this year. They have the problem of Washington and Philly right above them.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476.
One more team. I wonder if it's time for the Chiefs to step back a little bit.
And not make the playoffs?
No, they'll make the playoffs, but you said the AFC West is dominant now. I think the Chiefs are coming back to the pack in the AFC West. They're definitely a playoff team, but I think there's a great chance that they're like LA and Denver end up with 11 wins, and the Chiefs are 11-2. I wouldn't even be shocked if some other team won that division. The Chiefs had to go the wild card route. They're going to come back there. They're not going to win 15 games like they've been doing.
Wow, you don't think that the Chiefs are still a Super Bowl contender?
No, I think once they get in the playoffs, they're going to be really dangerous. But I think their regular season win total comes down. Vegas agrees. Their win total is definitely down from where it's been.
Which is funny because that's the opposite of the way they're talking, at least. And so take that with a grain of salt. But everything coming out of Kansas City is that the offense is going to be, more explosive. The way they've been playing the last couple years, which is just super conservative, win with your defense, that they want to push the ball down the field a lot more now. That's what I'm seeing.
I feel like the main narrative out of KC is we're worried that we haven't fixed the offensive line. That's the most thing I'm hearing. Isn't that the big problem?
I mean, I'm seeing that they want to start utilizing these weapons more, and that they are going to have Rashee Rice back, and they're going to have more guys to make this offense more explosive, which was what they were lacking over the last couple of years.
I feel like the issue with KC was they made a bunch of effort to get an offensive lineman, but they didn't really fix that offensive line. So I wouldn't be surprised. How many games they lose? They were 15-2 last year.
Yep.
That's coming down.
Well. I mean, that's a pretty high bar to clear. They can still win the division, though.
Yeah, but that's four less wins. They might win 11 games this year, so that's 4 wins that got to go elsewhere. I think the AFC kind of everybody jams together. Baltimore's the best team, in my opinion. Then Buffalo right behind them. So other than that, I think the NFC is better. Maybe that's because I root for an NFC team.
Yeah, well, and they just crushed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so it looked a little bit more dominant.
But look at the NFC North is crazy loaded. I mean, unless J.J. McCarthy's not good. If J.J. McCarthy's not good, then maybe it opens up. But what if the Bears have built up their roster all over the place? What is the Bears' weakness on paper? They have Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Like, they could be great, too.
Probably unknown. I mean, a little bit of an unknown to head coach. I know you want to put him in Canton, but I don't know if I can do that yet. Is all this stuff, with Caleb Williams really going to just all of a sudden magically click in year one of their their marriage? I don't know.
Is it more likely than Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence clicking?
Trevor Lawrence, to me, I'm not quitting on that yet.
Duval.
That's not helping.
Yeah, and I understand the Patriots' hype, but that team is really young, too. There's a lot to go. If I feel like if the Patriots won 8 games this year, it'd be great. But everyone's penciling them into the playoffs. It feels a little premature to me.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, how you feeling about a playoff team from a year ago that we think is going to fall out of the playoffs this year? Yes.
Neither of us chose Steelers, by the way. I just want to point that out. I mean, it's interesting.
You'd be stupid. I mean, they make the playoffs when they've got way worse quarterbacks.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
But they could always be 9-8 and not make, or 10 wins doesn't guarantee it in the AFC, as you just said.
Let us know what you think.
It's Kaiser Sose.
There's also a story that I think should be a much bigger deal that everyone on the show is just sort of dismissing.
No.
Is this Tom Brady owning the Raiders? Ipe? What do we got?
No, something new. Got a new obsession.
Is it going to
now.
be, yeah, okay.
It's not a conspiracy. It's just like a thing that happened. And I think it's a big deal. And everyone's just like, what?
With a lot of love.
Guys, wake up. Okay? Third eye's open. No, you don't even need a third eye. This is just your 2 eyes, 20/20 vision. I'll tell you what that story is next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. It is the Baltimore Mount Olympus today. So I thought Manny would be playing Baltimore artists. But he's playing Cardi B, and I know why. Because Maggie has a new... obsession is the wrong word. But how do you describe these stories that you really like that the rest of us don't quite get at first?
Well, were we not all into the yacht party thing?
That was, yeah.
With Cardi B and Stefon Diggs, the pink powder.
New drugs that we didn't know about. Yeah, that was great.
Our whole world got opened up to, I don't know, what was it called? Boule? I don't even remember that. What was the pink powder called?
Tusi.
Oh.
Tusi. Thank you. Some interesting combination of uppers and more uppers. But anyway.
I think there's a hallucinogenic effect, but please go ahead.
Yeah, which is always probably smart to do on a boat. But that was like a funny moment.
That
and then
great.
Stefon Diggs having to get back to New England and stand in front of the Boston media and be like, yeah, I'm not really going to, I'd like to keep my private life private. It's like, dude, we watched every woman's butt cheeks on that yacht from 14 different angles. Anyway, if you were wondering how things were going between Stefon Diggs and Cardi B Pro, well, apparently they're going fantastic. This is from Cardi's Instagram yesterday.
This man got to stay in a castle. I'm talking about a real castle. Look at this. Look at this. This is a real castle. I wonder Marie Antoinette was getting old down here. All up in this. Look at that. There's real crocodiles in there.
I don't know if she knows what really went down with that. Anyway.
Wait, were there really crocodiles?
Yes. Stefon Diggs rented out a castle for him and Cardi B. Now, I don't think they're at this dumb Bezos wedding.
There's real crocodiles in there.
Maybe this is like a makeup for that. But this is one of those things to me, not only is just this hilarious and obviously like he's got to work pretty hard here to like keep her attention is kind of what it seems like. But the other part is this is something that seems really good in theory and then is terrible in practice. Like castles to me are one of those things where they look super impressive and it seems awesome. And then she took a tour and showed the bathroom and the toilet's just like a hole.
Wait. They haven't upgraded the toilets in this castle?
I think they're trying
to. From the 1500s?
I think they're trying to keep it like, true to form. It's almost like a glorified porta potty in there.
No. That can't be. I mean, I'm not
Take a
saying
look at her Instagram.
I'm not saying yeah, but there might be like a symbolic, like, hey, this is the vintage part of the castle. That where they're staying, there must be a wing with modern plumbing. No?
I mean, there is an indoor swimming pool, so probably.
You think Cardi B is not sitting on porcelain on her vacation? Come on.
I don't know. Again, I think staying in a castle is one of those things that sounds really awesome.
This is a real castle.
But then you get in there, it's probably cold, like drafty. It's not gonna be cold. It's summer, but it's like probably drafty, and I don't know. It looks impressive.
Guess Maggie's not staying at a castle anytime soon.
I don't want to.
Well, I mean, listen, I was honestly wondering coming this morning, how does Maggie feel about staying in a castle? It sounds like you've given it some thought. Wait, because I think part of you was curious about staying in a castle. And now that you've seen the video, you're out.
Okay. You know how we talk about like what it would be like in the olden days? And it probably seems pretty cool to have been a king and queen in the olden days. And then like, is it really?
No, I mean, that's the line. Like even
Ask
the most
Marie Antoinette.
famous.
Exactly. Do we know how it ended for her?
Most famous person in the world in 1500, like the richest king of all time, had this weird porta potty situation. We have plumbing. So what are we complaining about? I've heard that line many times.
Well, sure. And they didn't know what they were missing back then. And I still would rather, I guess, have been a royal than been like a peasant person back in that time. It would have been terrible. But it wasn't like life was so great in the castle, I don't think.
Wonder Marie Antoinette was getting all down here.
Yeah.
No,
Her
definitely.
head ended up in a basket.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There's real crocodiles in there.
Also, if a man wanted to take me on vacation anywhere near real crocodiles, I'd be like, I know how this
Okay, I guess
is.
Florida's out for Maggie too. Jeez, Louise.
Well, not if somebody's I don't want to get pushed into a moat.
Well, we know you don't
pushing
love. We know you don't love reptiles after the gator farm situation.
Yeah, that was a rough afternoon for me.
I was up close and personal with that.
Yeah.
Maggie was not doing well.
But you don't want to hang out for a night in a castle that has been upgraded to the 2000s?
Well, how upgraded was it? I mean, again, it's a glorified porta potty, and at least the bathroom she showed on Instagram.
Yeah, I think there's real bathrooms.
Okay, another thing about a castle. I'm going to go 90%, might be low, castles being haunted. You think you're staying in a castle that's not haunted? You're crazy. Obviously, just the amount of people who have lived and presumably died in that castle.
I will say this about castles overall. I think they're a little overrated.
Thank you. This is what I'm saying.
I'll be honest.
I'll say this about castles. They're a little overrated.
No, because listen.
How many have you been in?
Oh, listen. Well, I'm going right there. So looking at wedding venues, multiple in the DMV area. One of the ones we looked at was a castle. It looked cool in theory. When we got to the practice of how the wedding would be, there were like very obvious issues that I was like, yeah, probably not great for our wedding. Maybe someone else would like this, but I think AC in June would probably be smart. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think not having multiple floors because you don't have a big enough dance floor, I think would be a little weird for people.
Oh, so some people are dancing upstairs and other people are dancing downstairs?
Yeah, like where are your kids? I don't know. They're in the third floor. Some of these things just didn't seem that practical. And I was like, nice place, beautiful place, and they were really great people. But I was like, I don't think this is going to work for us.
I'm right there with you.
I just don't care.
At all, like from point one of this?
Well, when EJ started talking about his wedding venues, I was really out. Really hard out. But it's
So mean.
Come on.
It's a big deal. EJ's getting married next
This is
year.
a sports show. We're not talking about EJ's wedding venues. That's not on the table.
Oh my God, we talk about your traffic patterns every other week. What are you talking about?
I do not talk about them enough. But
you want to talk about what happened on the Major Deegan yesterday, Pearl?
Of course
I do not. But let me. But the funny thing is, I got to be honest. I was bombarded with the Stefon Diggs boat thing. I have not seen a whiff on my social media timeline of this castle. Is this a big deal that I'm missing?
Wait till the other chicks and guys show up. I mean, you think it's just going to be the two of them in this castle? It's Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. The party is 5 minutes away from happening.
I feel like we already did this Stefon Diggs partying thing. I think the next party will not grab our attention as much. I think now that everyone knows they're dating, I think it's going to be a high bar for them to match the first story.
Listen, we don't know what kind of other drugs are out there that could
Also,
get videotaped by accident.
What's how much time do we have on this relationship?
Well, once he starts actually playing games, I don't know if he's going to have time to dedicate to her to be renting out all these castles and doing all this interesting stuff.
Right, exactly. I mean, will she lose interest?
Now he's just going to be some guy staying at a hotel in Providence. Like, it lacks the luster. Unless there's some castles in Providence.
There's definitely a castle somewhere
probably.
in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I need to comment from the castle.
Oh, well, actually, what's that area in Rhode Island? It's famous for their big houses.
Taylor Swift lives there, wherever it is.
That's what I was thinking about.
What the heck is that place called?
Castleton.
Isn't it like don't they have isn't it a nickname for it, like Light Tower
Watch
Town?
Hill?
No, it's like the most famous rich place in America, Rhode Island.
Oh,
I'm out.
Newport?
Newport, yeah.
One of the poorest people on earth. I don't know.
You're more of a Providence guy.
yeah, I'm more of a stay in a parade in Providence.
Cranston.
Providence, like Stanford.
See if you can go to StubHub and get Friars tickets kind of guy.
New Haven sounds great.
Newport literally does have castles, right?
Yeah, they do. With the Breakers. Yes, that you're remembering that right.
I've never been.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's fancy, right?
Yeah, but living in them even now seems a little crazy. And those have all been kept up because they're historical monuments.
Right, but those are mansions. Those aren't castles.
That's true.
Oh,
They are
gotcha.
more mansions.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
those are not castles. Like you got to go to Europe to find castles.
People back then still, it's insane when they put together these mansions like the Vanderbilts and stuff. They would assemble the entire mansion in Europe, okay? Because that's where all the things were coming from. Then disassemble it, put it on a boat, ship it to Rhode Island, and then reassemble like whole living rooms and bedrooms and stuff.
No way.
Yeah, that's what you learn on the tour.
It's like a medieval IKEA.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like that.
Yeah. And then you have to put the little screwed for every shelf. That's somehow that universal
Didn't you
screwdriver.
tell me off the air the main reason you married your husband was because he was amazing at putting IKEA furniture together?
It was up there high. It was like top 5 reasons.
And I get it. That's
My
not why
husband's
my wife married me.
My husband's an engineer, so we can go to IKEA and get anything we want.
It's a crazy skill.
We don't even have to worry about how complicated putting anything together is because he's like, I got it. I'm like, do you want any help? He's like, no. And then an hour later, it's like we have beds that have underneath things and multiple bunk beds. It's great.
You know that multiple people have asked to rent out your husband?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
She traded him this week.
I definitely needed him yesterday.
Yeah. You have the kickball, the celebrity kickball tournament, now fixing stuff at home.
Well, I tell you guys, on Manny, I mean, I know you're single here, and we're going to talk about your love life, I'm sure, a million times because maybe Manny's off the market. But
wow,
what
a take!
Being handy as a man, very sexy quality. My husband fixes stuff. I've never loved him more when he does
you give
that.
me some Gorilla Glue, anything can get fixed.
Yeah, sexy quality or utilitarian quality?
Both. The utilitarian part is I'm like, this is so great when you have a man who can just handle stuff.
Keurig's broken. Baby girl, give me the duct tape. I can fix it.
So let me just get this right on the sexy front.
Yeah.
Young Maggie's at a bar, and there's one guy, super hot guy, and the guy like a C next to him who has a utility belt. You're going for the C. It's like, whoa, look at that wrench. That's
been said.
It's the opposite of sexy. You're using him for his handyman skills.
No, he had all the other,
Yeah. By the way, he happens to be a great
superficial qualities that attracted me to him in that bar that night 15, 16 years ago anyway.
No, he's fantastic in many ways besides the handyman thing, but that is a skill we all need. And if you want to rent out your husband, I'm in too. There's about 50 things that he's fixing. The shower has been dripping.
He'll fix it. He's great. He installs a new shower head like for fun.
For fun?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
All right.
Chew on that.
No. You definitely did well. I'm not going to lie. But I don't buy that it's sexy. Like, I don't think it's not sexy. It's very useful. You just said I could go to IKEA and buy anything.
I know. Jealous ladies and guys.
Yes. Yeah, we're very jealous, but not because we find it sexy.
Whatever that Swedish furniture is that no one can pronounce.
We desperately
with all those umlauts.
Yeah, we desperately need someone to fix the cabinet. That's what we're... Bogusch, are you good at the house? To sell house stuff?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. I think
my wife is. It's hot.
A lot of people in sports media, I've noticed, are terrible around the house. Have you ever noticed that? Like a lot of us radio people are not
useless.
Good. Not good.
Maggie, what would happen if you found out that Henrik Lundqvist was all thumbs and couldn't fix anything?
Well, I mean, he's got other qualities that are, that a superficial woman might like.
We were watching, by the way, the NHL show, and I pointed out to Sarah that Henrik Lundqvist is like number 2 on your like get away for free list.
Well, I don't really have that list, and it's a little weird because I work in sports. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying I've got eyes.
She has the list, and he's number 1.
Yeah.
And it's laminated.
No.
Yeah, Sarah found him too classically handsome.
I know.
I'm not lying. That was an actual line that came out of her.
Yeah, what a drag.
Well, you know, there are some women, like, he's just, yeah, if you like that, I guess. He's hot.
Yeah, that 10 out of 10.
He's definitely hot.
Can he put together a bookshelf?
He can do some kind of butterfly save in the net. It kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, can he make 34 saves, though?
Yeah, well, can he get you to the Stanley Cup final? Can't win it, but he can get you.
I don't know. That was...
Ouch.
That hurt.
Wow, I'm blushing.
I'm a Sabre fan.
If you can't see it unless you're on the YouTube stream, Maggie was making all sorts of, he can make a butterfly shave. It's like, if he could do that with his hands,
well,
whoa.
Utilitarian means a lot of different things.
Yeah.
He can be good in a lot of different rooms. I have no idea. I'm just saying having being able to fix stuff is a good quality for a man.
Oh, boy. There's so many off-color jokes I want to say right now that I will wait till the break. Involving goalie sticks.
Oh, boy.
Manny, keep the mics on.
Bogusch has headlines for us.
I'm not trying to
What's
get
up?
fired.
So the only draft drama for Cooper Flagg was at the lottery back in the spring when we found out who would be taking him number 1. So the Duke star happy he is finally officially a Maverick.
Obviously, I'm antsy. I'm anxious. I wanted to get going. I was working out the whole time, and I was excited to, get this process over with. But at the same time, it's a dream come true to go through this whole process, be here, enjoy it. And I think I try to do that to the best of my ability.
That being said, there are still some who think the Mavs might have been gifted that top spot for shifting Luka into the LA market and giving the Lakers their post-LeBron star.
But I don't understand. Explain to me why, the NBA would care about the Lakers getting a star.
Well, let's let Cooper Flagg explain the lack or the proof of conspiracy theories.
No. I don't know what to say about that. I have no insider information, if that's what you're looking for. But, I just feel blessed for the way it all worked out.
It's exactly what the league would want him to say.
Yeah, what's the point of the league adding value to the Lakers this spring? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I know. They don't want the number 1 franchise to
sell for $10 billion with no arena.
It's amazing. Yeah, to set the bar, reset it to the highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
Also, of course, Cooper Flagg's not in on those high-level meetings.
He can't be.
You can't. There's three people making that decision.
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg's not one of them.
You can't trust an 18-year-old with that kind of information.
No, he'll go back to Duke and tell the whole frat. No. It's not. It can't work like that.
Yeah. Crap.
So that's how the draft began last night in Brooklyn. The Spurs then used the 2nd pick on Rutgers guard Dylan Harper. His teammate Ace Bailey went to the Jazz 5th. Utah was one of the places we were told that Bailey's camp was trying to keep him out of. Duke center Kaman Malawach lasted until number 10, and the Suns, the Heat, very happy that Illinois guard Kasparis Yakuchonis was available with the 20th pick, and UConn shooter Liam McNeely still on the board for the Hornets at number 29. Round 2 is tonight.
Okay, I'm getting a little not obsessed with the story. Why does Ace Bailey want to go to Washington, New Orleans, and Brooklyn and not Philadelphia? Philadelphia's right between Washington and Brooklyn. Somebody explain to me what's the difference between Washington, Brooklyn, and Philadelphia.
Jared McCain.
How is it possible? But city-wise, Philadelphia is the perfect combination of Washington and Brooklyn.
I don't think it's about city. I think it's about fit. I don't think he wants to go there and be the 7th man. He wants to go somewhere where he's going to get shots.
But why didn't he want to go to Utah? He would definitely.
Because it's Utah.
Right.
Well,
but that's a city. That's a contradiction.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things. I think I think Utah, nobody wants to play in Utah. Philly, I want to be a star. They have stars. I don't want to go there. Simple.
But how long do you think those guys are going to be there in Philly?
Maxey and McCain are not going anywhere.
But if you're in Washington, you're irrelevant forever. You're done.
Right. Well,
but he's scoring his points.
He thinks I'm going to go there and I'm going to average 25 and I'm going to be a star and maybe I turn them around. That's what he thinks. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying that's what he's thinking.
But he could do that in Philly.
Can we back this up, though?
Sure.
Is this actually about and I'm not saying guys don't deserve their money, but these guys who put up big numbers on terrible teams get huge contracts.
Absolutely.
And so, but it doesn't help
but everybody else
them
gets huge
become, but it doesn't help them become relevant. It doesn't help them become playoff contenders. The money's not doing what it's supposed to do, right? The money, isn't it supposed to help you become a winning franchise as opposed to you're paying one guy tons of money and your franchise is doing nothing?
If you could dribble the ball past half court without it going off your knee, you get $30 million a year in the NBA. What are you talking about? Everybody gets paid. Everybody.
But not the seventh man. Like, that's a little bit different. It's you do have to be a starter because you have to be hitting certain thresholds, like
All NBA, things like that. Like,
well, if you're talking about getting $300 million, yes, probably. But you could certainly make a cool 170 as a seventh man easily. I saw some of the contracts that people were trying to get rid of last night. I was like, whoa, that guy gets that. There was one, Grayson Allen, his contract's massive, and he's like a seventh man. I know he probably.
I mean, he's not going to make. Yeah, but he don't want Grayson Allen money. Come on. He wants to get a max. He wants Cade Cunningham money. Cade Cunningham went to Detroit, 1-0, put up numbers, got $200 million.
But he's good now. Like, that team's good. They're
right, but they paid him before they got good. That's what I'm trying to say. They paid him before he got good. He went to a bad team, got paid. I think that's the calculus. Is I need to go somewhere where I can be a star. That's not Utah. That was the calculus.
Well,
I mean,
that's a tough needle to
he'll get paid in Utah.
It didn't work.
No.
I think it's a city. I think he liked the food in New Orleans. I don't know why D.C. and Brooklyn. Yeah, like you'll get paid. I guess Bridges got paid, but you're not going to win. Yeah,
I don't think you watch this guy play. You think he cares about winning?
You don't think like
that could be a problem.
How much did Tyrese
being real?
How much did Tyrese Maxey just get?
$200 million.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think you'll get $200 million in any of these spots. I don't know. It just felt like a funny destinations for him. I kind of agree with what Maggie said. Like, you're not going to win, so you're going to be irrelevant.
The one thing I think you guys are underestimating DC as a city. I mean, it is probably, I would imagine,
I like it.
Very fun to be a professional athlete in Washington, D.C.
Probably.
That's a young person nowadays. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good spot. It's got great restaurants, good nightlife, young people.
Yeah, by the way, he's 19, so college life. So he'll be at Georgetown parties, all the parties, because Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were up in Temple. I know.
Yeah. You want to
why not Philadelphia? All that's true for Philadelphia.
Again, it's the
huge
fit.
College.
He's going to go there, and he's going to be playing behind Paul George. I think.
Yeah, okay.
But he is.
You're laughing at this.
Paul George is going to play 6 games.
Right. So, but again, like we've also have been killing Ace Bailey's people for thinking this way. So, but we're just relaying the facts to you.
But there is a contradiction. You say all this is true. Salt Lake City is a great opportunity, but you're saying because it's such a lame city.
Yeah. No,
so I'm saying city-wise, my point was city-wise, Philadelphia fits in nicely with Brooklyn.
It does. No question. I agree. Don't shoot the messenger. Right. I am not saying that I would have done the things he is doing. I'm saying, though, this is definitely the calculus that people make, especially for players like him who are shot creators, one-on-one scorers. Yeah. You can't do the stuff that he does playing for the Sixers. Because Embiid needs shots, Maxey needs shots, and now McCain needs shots. They can't give away Paul George, so he's going to be there.
Like, New Orleans has a lot of guys who need shots, too.
Who?
Well, I mean, Zion.
Okay.
Who else? They just Jordan Poole. He'll put up 40 shots a game.
He doesn't care about Jordan Poole. This is a number 3 pick.
Jordan Poole's going to score 23 points a game there. But he's same as Maxey.
You think that Jordan Poole is not Tyrese Maxey?
He's not going to get prioritized.
But he's going to shoot more than
but if you're a coach and you're an organization,
it's not going to happen, and it's more likely that Daryl Morey is going to be gone. It's not going to happen, and it's more likely that Daryl Morey is going to be gone, and Nick Nurse is going to be gone, and it's going to be a whole reset. So now someone new comes in who didn't draft you,
right? But Ace Bailey's going to be
like 2030. Like, where is he going?
Ace Bailey's going to be 22 and would be the primary scorer on the Sixers team because Paul George will be 40 by then. Anyway.
Well, he wants to make an all-rookie team, though, because, again, it starts triggering these bigger contracts because you have to reach these milestones to get the max.
And, again, the thought process could be stupid. What you're saying is not wrong. I think it's clear what they were trying to do.
And it backfired.
Definitely.
Now, it could still end up being good for him, and Utah could be good, but if he's not going to have a good attitude about it, like – Jahlil Okafor only wanted to go to the Lakers and got drafted by the 76ers and couldn't handle it, and he was a champion at Duke, then his attitude, Ace Bailey's attitude, is going to determine this whole thing.
Well, he could make all those all-rookie teams and stuff at Utah. He'll probably definitely start at 3.
I think he will.
That's what I'm saying. He could get saved here, but is he going to be happy? Again, we're talking about superstars being happy. Or he's not a superstar yet, but you know what I mean.
So at the end of the day, is it the city or is it the fit?
Well, it can be both because each situation is different. It's not one overlying reason. Like he wants to take shots, but he also wants to live in a cool place. So Utah is not a place where he wanted to live maybe, so that's out. and Philly doesn't think that he can get enough touches, enough shots, so that's out. It doesn't have to be. It's not a contradiction.
It's funny. Was this calculus not here when they were picking Piscataway, New Jersey? No? Okay.
Well, that was temporary.
This might be too.
That was 1 year.
You should see the guys who were getting shots for the Sixers last year. I mean, they are like, holy cow.
But they were tanking, though. That's something.
No, I mean, like, but they didn't have guys available. Like,
That's true.
I mean, there are going to be shots galore. I mean, what, EJ, if your patella tendon was all messed up, you could get shots on the Sixers.
Hey, stick me in the corner, baby.
Top of the hour, we will hit the Maggie and Perloff Mount Olympus project today. We are setting our sights on Baltimore, Maryland. Who are the 4 sports gods from Baltimore? There were a lot of choices here, and I went a little weird on mine, so I'm excited to bring that to you guys. We also have actually an update on Lamar Jackson, speaking of Baltimore. We'll get to that next.
There's real crocodiles in there.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. $30 remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Top of the hour, we did the Mount Olympus of Baltimore, Maryland, the four sports gods from Baltimore. Yesterday, robust conversation about Pittsburgh, Pearl. This has just been a lot of fun to go through all these great sports cities. But while we're talking about Baltimore, you may have seen a couple Lamar Jackson things kind of enter your timeline if you're a sports fan, if you're on social media, even if you're not. So a couple things, Lamar. Number one, he is possibly doing another contract extension this offseason. We know how contentious it got the last time. He requested a trade. They end up, first getting franchise tagged. Then they were able to get an extension. The other thing that happened with Lamar Jackson is that there's some documents that have recently been leaked. Pablo Torre got them on his podcast about when Lamar Jackson was first doing his negotiation. He wanted a fully guaranteed contract like Deshaun Watson had gotten, Pearl. But the TikTok of those negotiations came out and were kind of a little bit embarrassing for Lamar. The fact that his phone didn't work properly made it impossible for the Baltimore Ravens to negotiate with him.
Yeah.
Just some really weird stuff with Lamar. From the 30,000-foot view, though, the two-time MVP, we understand the talent, and the Ravens have been knocking on the door for the last couple of years. Is he facing the most pressure of any quarterback in the NFL?
In my mind, yes. I think there's two. It's obviously Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are talked about in the same way, but it's got to be Lamar because if you look, he's won 2 MVPs. The other 2 MVP winners are Steve Young, Kurt Warner, Montana, Mahomes, Unitas, Favre, and Brown. Lamar can't be on that list and not have a ring. Josh Allen's got 1 MVP. That's one reason I think he has more pressure. The other is the Ravens should have been there the last 2 years. They had no excuse. They got out-coached somehow by Kansas City 2 years ago at home. They lost 17-10 in the AFC title game. That was ridiculous. Then last year, they got so hot at the end of the year. Remember, they were crushing people. Went into the playoffs, favored in Buffalo.
Yep.
The weather turns bad, and Lamar is not, his numbers are not as good in bad weather. They blow that game, completely blow that game. So I feel like more so than Buffalo, Baltimore is a team that has to win a Super Bowl. Otherwise, this core will be a major disappointment.
Okay, I'm going to split hairs a little bit here. I think that Buffalo as a franchise is under the most pressure to win because they haven't won a Super Bowl and they have this terrible history of losing the 4 straight that at some point, at least as me as a Bills fan, hope gets rectified.
Definitely.
But where I think individually Lamar actually has the more pressure is because Lamar hasn't played well in playoff games. Josh Allen has some unreal playoff games where it's not his fault that the team didn't win. So he's shown up, and Allen, listen, we can criticize some things with Allen in the playoffs. Like there are definitely nits to be picked on that, but the defense giving up the lead to Kansas City in the 13 seconds game, the coaching staff being outcoached by Andy Reid over and over and over again. There are other places to put your blame when it comes to the Bills losing in these big moments. Josh Allen is like 7th on the list or even lower because he's obviously the reason why they're there.
Go Bills.
Right.
Lamar,
the 13 seconds game, most famous Bills playoff game, Josh Allen was unbelievable.
Can't play any better.
And also, he's beaten Lamar twice, right?
He has beaten Lamar twice. Now, both of those have been in Buffalo. But still, he hasn't had to go into Baltimore and do it. But like Patrick Mahomes went into Baltimore and beat Lamar.
And that's because he's in the AFC East, by the way. And then Lamar is in the AFC North.
Sure.
So it's the old Patriots formula.
Yeah, you get the home field advantage when you get to beat up on the rest of the division. But still, that's why I think Lamar is facing this even just a touch more than Allen. But I'll tell you something else. Lamar keeps an extremely low profile in the offseason. Josh Allen, big wedding, big celebrity couple. I wonder if they don't have a good season, or do they start doing Josh Allen wasn't as dialed in this offseason or something like that. I can't imagine that would actually be a storyline because he's so committed, but the noise.
No. The media loves Josh Allen more than they love their own kids. There's no way.
Hey, you're not talking about me, are you?
Everybody loves Josh Allen. No, I mean, there's that. What you just described, there is 0.0 chance of that happening. Josh Allen, find a negative word in print about Josh Allen, and I would be shocked.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I don't know. Do we add Aaron Rodgers pressure to win a Super Bowl? Now with this sort of...
Yeah, if you go to time machine to 2008.
Coming up, the four sports gods of Baltimore.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Name J's tuned in to Maggie and Perloff every single day.
Now Bailey rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Zach Job's lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Shedeur Sanders just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So Daddy, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Oh, don't play no games. Oh, babe, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make streams fly. Now Bailey rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
No shocker at the top of the draft. It was Cooper Flagg from Duke who heads to the Dallas Mavericks. But Perloff and I disagree on what this is going to look like now. Are they actually going to be contenders? Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Yeah, Flagg is walking into a really interesting situation. Now, it's better than most. I'll give you that because there actually is some talent. Sometimes these number one overall picks go to teams where, like, they're winning 20 games or something like that. The Mavericks are expected to actually be a contender according to them. I just don't trust anyone in the front office. I don't trust the ownership. I don't trust a team that traded away Luka Doncic that they're going to be able to handle Cooper Flagg's career correctly.
Well, I said earlier in the show, I can't believe Nico Harrison can really keep his job long term. And eventually, the fire, even when Cooper Flagg's good, you're still going to get fired Nico chance. That seems like something they're going to yell in Dallas forever.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, and maybe this is not a safe assumption, that at some point, I know Kyrie just signed a 3-year extension. At some point soon, by the time Cooper Flagg's ready to be a big-time NBA player, Kyrie and Davis will be out of there. They're going to sweep the aftermath of that Luka trade is gone. They're older players. I mean, they're both in their 30s. They're both injury-prone.
But that signals win now.
Yeah, right. But that's not. I don't think that'll work. And I think Cooper Flagg, like, really, he's a very, very young rookie. I think you got to look at a much bigger picture. Like, when he's 25, is he going to be an NBA title player? So that's 7 years from now?
Yeah.
They ain't going to be getting Kyrie Irving. So
no.
I wouldn't even focus too much on the short term here. I would look at, like, how do you develop this guy? That's the important thing.
888-710-4ISN. We try to get to everybody on days like this when the draft happens and so many different cities are impacted and affected. But if you want to call in about your city and about what your team did last night, you're welcome to do it because, you know, we have thoughts on winners and losers here. You know, I think obviously the Spurs drafting Dylan Harper, even though they have a redundancy in that guard position, they're just building something, right? Like,
I don't love it.
Really? You think that they should be drafting for fit, even though Wemby's still so young and this team is really just finding themselves still?
What I would do, I would have traded De'Aaron Fox. I think you need such precise shooting around Wembanyama when you're looking at can they make him a champion. So, no, at some point you have to move Stefon Castle, Dylan Harper, or De'Aaron Fox. And now, personally, I love Dylan Harper. He would have been the first guy I kept out of that group. But they're a move away. I mean, what's going on here? You have 3 of the same position.
Well, I think if you believe that Dylan Harper, again, from Rutgers, Ron Harper's son, if you believe he separated himself from the pack, right? Then you don't draft for need. You draft best available. That's the draft cliche.
That's a right pick, but I don't love what San Antonio is doing. Dylan Harper's supposed to be this outstanding pick-and-roll player. How is he running the pick and roll? Like, where isn't the ball in Fox's hands? And what about Stefon Castle? So I don't totally understand your plan here. I know that there was rumors that they might trade down. You got to trade somebody at some point, and they haven't made that deal yet. Feels like you look at that roster around Wemby, and I don't totally get it. I heard analysis say, well, they're looking big picture. They're not pushing to win this year with Wemby. Okay, I guess that's like what? So in 3 or 4 years?
Well, we always say that guys like hit their, athletic sort of prime when they're around 25.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Wembanyama's still 22, 23, so young.
I don't understand what the plan is here at that particular position. I would, if somebody was going to give you something good, I mean, if you could get Giannis, then let's go. Then you move up the plan immediately. I just don't, you look at the West is so darn competitive. You better have a plan. And I don't totally see San Antonio's plan. Do you think like they're going to win within 3 years?
I got to be honest. It doesn't seem like San Antonio's really had a lot of urgency since the Duncan era ended. I mean, they messed around with Kawhi, eventually did trade him to Toronto, and it takes two to tango there. The Kawhi and Uncle Dennis, right? Is that the guy's name? I don't think they helped themselves either. They just didn't trust the Spurs, their medical team. But there's been no urgency.
Well, they got De'Aaron Fox. That's a win-now player.
And then they decided that they would have him undergo that season-ending finger surgery because they realized they didn't have to win games this year. So, I don't know. It just seems like they're slow playing this. Like, maybe it's a little too slow for your liking.
Well, it's also, I mean, by the time this all works out, like, these guys are going to be up for contracts. So, what does that mean?
Well, this is tough in the new NBA where if you get into the first apron, second apron, I know people are sick of hearing about that, but it is really punitive. Anyway, so that was Dylan Harper, too. And then the other big storyline, one of them from the draft last night, was Ace Bailey. So you heard a lot about him leading up to the draft because he was the only U.S.-born prospect who did not do any individual workouts. Wouldn't do it, wouldn't meet
on TV. And what's the other team? Oh, New Orleans. New Orleans gets on TV because of Zion, but he's definitely going to be low-key this year. I get the sense that we're not going to see a ton of Ace Bailey. Maybe I'm wrong, but kind of disappears a little bit to Utah, in my mind.
Well, I'll tell you how we're going to hear a lot about him is if he's complaining or if his management is out there complaining or they're making waves or he's doing unorthodox things.
Is anyone going to care?
I don't know. I mean, we cared, and he was coming out of Rutgers this year, which is not a basketball powerhouse, but we see the talent.
He was sort of the number one prospect for a long time. Like, he was famous in high school. That's why we care. I think our caring is going to go way down now that he's in Utah. I could be wrong, and maybe he's awesome, but if he's pretty young, too. Like, so he's going to need some time.
Let's get to Mount Olympus.
It's time to feast your ears on Maggie and Perloff's Mount Olympus.
All right, today we move from yesterday's Steel City, another team in the AFC North. Let's go to Baltimore, Maryland. Rich sports history in Baltimore, Perloff. This one was really, really tough.
Yeah.
Would you like me to go first today?
Sure.
Okay. I know this is going to be unorthodox. People are not going to be happy. I'm just letting you know. I feel better about this Mount Olympus than almost any one that we've done so far this cycle.
That's because there's no hockey team, so you can't put the second best player in franchise history above the first.
Why? Did I do that not once but twice?
Well, yeah, Yzerman and Crosby over Lemieux.
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Listen, Sidney Crosby and Steve Yzerman are Olympus worthy, so please go ahead.
Okay, so no hockey in Baltimore. So I'm spared there. But you know what they have in Baltimore that is more important, in my opinion, than anything else?
Crab cakes.
Old Bay.
Well, good, yes and yes, but we're not doing the Mount Olympus of them just awesome things.
Brick buildings.
They have baseball.
Oh.
And a rich baseball history with the Baltimore Orioles that is, to me, even bigger than the Ravens because the Ravens got there. I know the Baltimore Colts were a thing, and we can go back to Johnny Unitas if you want to. But we're talking about now the Ravens maybe being the biggest deal in town. But they came in 1996, okay? The Baltimore Orioles are 100 years of history. Don't fact check me on that.
Wait, the Orioles? How long have the Orioles been around? Like 50-something?
Close.
Oh, okay.
So for me, Baltimore Orioles are very, very, very well represented on my Mount Olympus. Let me get to it. I've got 3 guys for you who spent their entire careers all in Baltimore. First is Cal Ripken. I defy you to do any Mount Olympus without Cal Ripken on it. He is, in some ways, the face of Baltimore baseball, the streak.
Wow.
I know. I'm not going out on a limb here with Cal Ripken.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, you promised you were going to go unorthodox, and you're throwing Cal Ripken Jr. on there.
Well, he's got to be on.
I'd almost put Cal Ripken Sr. on there, too. But, okay. Yeah, Cal Ripken Jr. for sure.
Okay, so Cal Ripken has to be on there.
Love it.
Of course, Hall of Fame World Series. Entire career in Baltimore, and also from Aberdeen, Maryland. So he's a local guy. Brooks Robinson has to be on there, in my opinion. One of the greatest, you want to talk about greatest third baseman of all time, Brooks Robinson? Then I'm here for that conversation.
Greater than Mike Schmidt?
Well, let's talk about it. You want to do that? I'm here for that all day.
You're going to lose that argument, but go ahead.
23 years in Baltimore for Brooks Robinson. Hall of Fame, obviously. 2-time World Series MVP, All-Star, 18-time All-Star, and League MVP, if I did not mention that. And then I'm giving you a third Baltimore Oriole on my Mount Olympus in Baltimore.
Can we go around and guess who it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
But a third Baltimore Oriole, my mind goes to Jim Palmer is the first one.
Ding, ding, ding. He's on the Mount Olympus, y'all. 3 Cy Youngs for Jim Palmer, entire career in Baltimore, still a broadcaster, and has been a broadcaster now for, 25 years in Baltimore?
Is this a Henrik Lundqvist-inspired pick because he's super good-looking?
It's not because that old commercial where he was, in his underwear. I was given a live for that.
That's the first thing, But famously, for you youngsters, Jim Palmer got shirtless in a tighty-whitey commercial that took his fame to a whole new level.
It did, but, the Cy Youngs helped. And Jim Palmer, one of the great pitchers, and still so Baltimore, again, because he's been doing TV there now for the past 20 years or so. And then to round out my Mount Olympus of Baltimore, listen, I know it's controversial. He'll always be controversial, but it has to be Ray Lewis. Even with the, legal issues and the obstruction of justice and everything that happened, still an MVP. And to me, it's what he means to them, what he means to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And, him being this big redemption story. So Ray Lewis is the Ravens, face of the Ravens, more so than Joe Flacco, more so than Ed Reed.
Mm-hmm. Ed Reed was only there for one of the Super Bowls, right?
John Harbaugh, more than any of those guys. So to me, it's got to be Cal Ripken Jr., Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer, and Ray Lewis. Yes, I put 3 Orioles.
Did you think about Lamar Jackson? I'm curious.
I did.
Yeah. He's got to win a ring.
How about Mike Messina?
Okay.
I thought about a lot of guys.
I have
another guy named Mike.
Cal Ripken Jr., but Cal Ripken Jr. isn't even the biggest no-brainer. How can you not put Johnny Unitas on there? That's insane.
Complicated, I think, relationship, though, with the Colts leaving the city, not for Johnny Unitas, but with the whole franchise. I think they're a Ravens town now.
I don't think it matters. Have you ever seen the movie Diner? Anyway, it's an old movie where basically a guy will only marry his wife if she passes a Baltimore Colts test. Johnny Unitas, this Mount Olympus was invented for guys like Johnny Unitas. To me, it was like, obviously Maggie's going to go with Cal Ripken and Johnny Unitas. Then Ray Lewis, I thought you might pick Ed Reed, but Ray Lewis. So I have Ray Lewis, Johnny Unitas, Cal Ripken. My fourth one, I know we're not always doing individual athletes, but Michael Phelps is so associated with Baltimore. I know Simone Biles was considered for Houston, but Michael Phelps in Baltimore, that's a thing.
Okay, so I'm surprised you did Phelps because I don't want to get it twisted here. Perloff does not respect swimmers. And that's just straight up.
Well, wait,
and you don't respect any of Phelps's records. I know this sitting next to you.
I don't respect. I think the fact that he won the most gold medals was defined by the fact that you basically get 5 gold medals for winning the same event over and over again.
Oh, keep going. And you don't think that enough people swim in this world, so you're not really the true, dominant force? I've listened to Perloff's swim takes now for, 10 years.
Well, I think people who say he's the greatest Olympian of all time, I think are overestimating some things. I feel like, for me, I take a Usain Bolt over him every time because everybody runs. But Michael Phelps, but anyway, this isn't about my judgment. It's who are the sports gods of Baltimore. And I mean, Phelps obviously, also too, because he celebrates the city so much that to me, it was okay, Baltimore, when you think of Baltimore sports, he might be the first name, the modern name that jumps to mind.
So I thought about Phelps, and it's funny, I'm just kind of kidding around with you, but I know how much you have a disdain for swimming.
I don't have a disdain at all for swimming. My daughter was a competitive swimmer.
And you hate sitting at those swim meets.
No, I actually gained more respect for Phelps after watching that swim meet because you see it in person, it's impressive. But that's not. This is an Olympic debate. Michael Phelps in Baltimore, of all the individuals, you did George Foreman for Houston.
Yep.
I did Joe Louis for Detroit. It's funny, and I don't even know why. The connection between the individual star and the athlete feels really strong here.
So we're talking about the 4 sports gods of Baltimore. And I thought about Michael Phelps also, obviously. How could you not? But I think for most people, when you think of Michael Phelps, the first thing you think of is USA. Yes, I understand that he is famously from Baltimore, but he's an American hero and champion.
Yeah.
Same thing with Simone Biles. I think you think USA first in the red, white, and blue leotard as opposed to Houston. And that's why I did not put Phelps on my Mount Olympus.
Right. The debate here is Jim Palmer over Johnny Unitas.
Yep.
Oof. Mag.
Good. I stand by that.
Jim Palmer. He wasn't even always the best pitcher on his staff.
3 Cy Youngs. Never, ever. Isn't it true that he never gave up a grand slam with 2 outs? He's got some crazy, crazy stat that I got to double check. Jim Palmer's amazing. And
Johnny Unitas is one of the top 10 quarterbacks of the history of the game, and that's just because we don't even understand what he was doing back then.
He's part of one of the greatest games of all time. I understand Johnny Unitas. I've met Johnny Unitas before he passed away. You don't have to tell me about him. I'm talking about sports gods from this city. Jim Palmer is on it to me. It's got to be. So there you go.
Interesting. Yeah, the Lamar Jackson I thought was interesting. He's not there yet, but that's a name that will eventually be on this Mount Olympus.
Okay, so I was thinking about Lamar.
Yeah.
Obviously, number one. But you do have Flacco, who never was an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, actually won the title and went on one of the great runs that a quarterback can go on in a postseason.
Yeah. I'm projecting forward that eventually Lamar at least gets to a Super Bowl. I mean, I think it's unlikely that Joe Flacco is going to box Lamar Jackson out, to me. Definitely. Also, too, Lamar Jackson's just star power is off the charts.
No, he's a much flashier player and much more athletic,
much more successful player
than Flacco. Well, but Flacco won the Super Bowl for you,
but you can't argue
the reason.
You can't argue that Lamar Jackson is not more successful than Joe Flacco. He was on. Who's the other Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Ravens?
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, I mean,
they had one of maybe the greatest defense of all time. He wasn't the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, Lamar Jackson. Definitely at a higher level than Joe Flacco. To me, maybe.
Well, it depends how you want to define success. Is it the individual success or is it the team success?
Either. I mean, Lamar. Yeah, Flacco won the Super Bowl, but Lamar Jackson. How old is Lamar? He's 20. He's not even 30 yet, is he? He's
definitely not 30.
28. He's going to go down. To me, I mean, he's going to go down as a legend. He might have 10 more years there.
He's already a legend. It's not that. It's just how do Baltimore fans define success? Is it with MVPs and a guy who has not shown up in the playoffs? Or do you think there's more of a love for a guy who actually got you to the mountaintop?
Yeah, I'm projecting a little that I assume Lamar is going to figure out some things. I mean, if Lamar stays healthy and is there long enough, eventually he's going to break through. But he will probably, he's definitely going to go down as the best Raven of all time. Probably even ahead of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, I think eventually.
You know how that could totally flip? If Lamar Jackson never wins a Super Bowl, because then he's going to be in the Dan Marino conversation of the greatest people who never won.
Yeah, but Marino's definitely the greatest Dolphin of all time. It's not even a close second.
No, we put him on our Mount Olympus in Miami, and it wasn't even a thing. But I'm just saying that can turn on you because.
I mean, Miami had Super Bowls, and no one's putting Bob Greasy over Dan Marino.
No,
Bob Greasy was a Hall of Famer, and Joe Flacco's not even a Hall of Famer.
No, he's not. But again, for people in Baltimore, where the standard is winning, right? There is a standard there of winning. It's not about getting close. It's one of those towns because they actually have won. I think the standard is winning. So I think there probably are people who put Flacco over Lamar.
Gosh. Okay.
888-710-4ISN. Well, neither made our Mount Olympus.
Yeah, I mean, again, but if we do this in 5 years, Lamar's on there. I guarantee it. Although this is a very gaudy list.
I mean, there's nothing that we can do now for the other guys. Their resumes are all complete.
You're a little bit too old to watch cards, but anyway.
Let's go to George, who's in L.A. George, your Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods from Baltimore. Is Lamar Jackson on your list?
No, he's not. Good morning, guys. I do have Johnny Unitas, Cal Ripken Jr., Jim Palmer. And my 4th one is the NFL commissioner in 1996. I think it was Pete Rozelle, because if it wasn't for him, there would be no Baltimore Ravens.
Huh. I didn't think about putting Pete Rozelle on there. To be totally honest, I didn't know that he was from Baltimore.
Explain. I thought, so Rozelle was the commissioner? Wasn't that Tagliabue was already there, wasn't he?
In 96, that's what I was questioning, which one it was there.
Yeah, I think that was Tagliabue.
Whoever the commissioner was, whoever it was, saved Baltimore's football, because They would be the Ravens. His coach left. They went to Indianapolis. Just my opinion.
Yeah, Rosell's the one who let them leave Baltimore for Indianapolis.
He should be on your Gods of the Underworld.
Then it's the other guy, Tagliabue.
Yeah, I think Tagliabue was.
I know. Unfortunately, he's from New Jersey, so probably would not apply here. But George put Jim Palmer on his list, no Brooks Robinson there, which I think is an interesting one.
Well, Brooks Robinson might have been a greater generational player, but I just think that Jim Palmer was just a more popular pitcher than Cy Young's, and just his whole way about him.
George, I'm with you. He's a god. Thank you for calling in. The 3 Cy Youngs, the 3 World Series, had the ERA title twice, and obviously is a Hall of Famer. Of course.
Yeah. Remember, he was on that staff with 4 20-game winners. There are obviously a lot of famous Orioles. Boog Powell is a huge presence there, right? He's got that restaurant in the outfield. Big time player. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really surprised Johnny Unitas is not like I thought that was the Cal Ripken and Johnny Unitas were the 2 go-tos. Then we debate. And you did, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
But you didn't mention Ray Lewis. There's the little
Ray Lewis is
that thing that
controversial.
Happened.
I know, but you know what? Like, I think to be
that's like
fair.
Character issues do not matter in Mount Olympus because in the city where you're you're in San Francisco, you have Barry Bonds. You do not care what the rest of the world thinks.
Exactly. Pete Rose, Cincinnati. It's those places. It doesn't matter.
Baltimore, Ray Lewis.
What did Ray Lewis do?
Yeah, Google it.
Some allegations.
By the way, Pete Rozelle definitely not from Baltimore, from California. You'll never guess what high school he graduated from.
San Mateo High, where Tom Brady went.
No.
Harvard.
No.
Sierra Canyon.
Is there
Compton High School?
Pete Rozelle?
Straight out of Compton.
Oh, yeah.
Pete Rozelle.
I think when they wrote that album, they were thinking about Pete Rozelle.
Definitely.
I've heard Pete Rozelle.
The inspiration of it.
He's hated in Baltimore, I imagine. Like hated. Which
Has
is
to
funny,
be, right? Yeah.
Because that was a very bad move. That was not good.
No, of course not. But this, of course, has nothing to do with Unitas. But I went with the Orioles, the rich history, because Orioles are sports in Baltimore.
Colts are definitely were bigger than the Orioles. There's by far. That was a Colts town. Like that was the definition. The Baltimore Colts, when Johnny Unitas was there, were the lifeblood of that city. I mean, the Brooks Robinson World Series was a big deal too. I will give you that, but he couldn't really hit. I'm just going to throw that out there. Not a great hitter.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Going to just distance myself from that.
No, that's like the thing. Like, look at his stats. You'll be surprised. Lifetime 267 hitter. Like, dude could feel like he was like Ozzie Smith at third base. So to me, it was a Mike Schmidt fan. Like, there's no comparison.
We have so much more for you, including winners and losers from last night's first round of the NBA draft. So things you're going to want to pay attention to there. And we also have an update. Mentioned this yesterday. We'll get to it today, I promise. The Cleveland Browns quarterback situation taking an interesting turn. It's Maggie Perloff.
And let's not forget Shallow.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. If you're of a certain age, of course, you know that song. So it turns out Cisco, who wrote the thong song, is from Baltimore. I did not know that. Did you know he's from Baltimore?
You know, I didn't know it, but Manny's playing music from Baltimore today because we're doing the 4 sports gods of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And man, if we're just doing gods in general, not sports, now that I know that Cisco's from Baltimore, he may have to be on it. This song's an all-time banger.
I thought Cisco was from Florida or somewhere with beaches. I don't know why my head went there.
You could wear a thong in Baltimore. Maryland beaches, Ocean City. Come on.
The whole Drew Hill group is from Baltimore. The whole squad, Cisco and them.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like he was from a slightly warmer place. I'm sorry. Like, Baltimore is not exactly like, hey, let's go on vacation to Baltimore. Make sure we bring our bikinis.
Check out Ocean City.
Hey, Ocean City, baby.
You walk into the aquarium with a bikini. Yeah, you're
a
Ocean
little too
City.
much nipple.
That's not exactly the Baltimore that I know. I know Baltimore really well, by the way, because we used to go to the Vet where the Phillies played was such a dump. We wanted to actually see a nice stadium. So in high school, me and my friends would drive down to see Camden Yards. It was amazing. It's still amazing. What
gorgeous.
A beautiful, beautiful place.
I was a stage manager for the Orioles. Well, I was a stage manager for it was like Masson, or it was actually Comcast. It was so long ago. Gosh, I was in college. And
nice.
To be the stage manager, I got to sit in the booth with the TV play-by-play and color person. And so I got to, basically sit there in the best seat in the house for this gorgeous stadium where the sun would be setting and it's just drop dead. And I got to hand them cue cards and get them popcorn and make sure there was no dandruff on their suits and stuff. Great job.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore baseball has a great vibe. I totally get it. The aquarium too. Just when I was a kid, that nothing blew my mind like the Baltimore Aquarium. I was like, this is. I was a huge aquarium fan. Don't ask me why.
We know why.
Is I'm a nerd?
Yeah, so am I. I love aquariums.
Yeah. I think even non-nerds secretly love aquariums. I mean, who does not want to see a shark floating around?
Is an aquarium better than a zoo, hands down?
Yes. Not even close.
Yeah.
Because they're inside mostly?
They're both great.
Actually, as a kid, I loved zoos too.
Zoos are fun.
Why are you guys such nerds?
The aquarium in Atlanta, I think is
that's the
one
mega
I went
one.
to.
Is that a new one?
I don't know how new it is, but it's fire.
I frequented Ripley's Aquarium up in Toronto.
The local one, there's one
Very
on
fun.
the East Coast. No, it's really good. Mystic, Connecticut.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
But Baltimore is the OG. That's the most famous aquarium.
Yeah, but the Georgia one is maybe the official aquarium. It's huge. It's got its own TV show. It's crazy.
The Georgia one is crazy.
Baltimore expanded there. Are you sure it's even bigger?
I want to be in one of those aquariums where there's a tunnel and the fish fly over you.
Look, should we do
I really want that type of anxiety.
Should we do the Mount Olympus of aquariums? Because Boston is nothing to laugh at.
Yeah, I'm going to say, just for the record show, no one wanted to talk about Stefon Diggs renting out a castle for Cardi B, but you're fine doing 5 minutes of aquarium.
If you ever
crocodiles in there.
go to an aquarium, there are people lined up for half a mile to get in. Everyone wants to go to an aquarium. Nobody's in a castle.
There's probably real crocodiles at the aquarium, too.
Exactly.
Crocodiles in there.
And we're fine with the aquarium talk, but nobody's got any time for Cardi B, Stefon Diggs in a castle. Okay.
If you happen to be on the West Coast,
Dímelo.
Monterey, California, fire. Sorry, back to aquarium.
I've heard the Great Barrier Reef also very nice for the fishes.
Who's going there?
Long flight.
Yeah, not exactly good for the environment for you to hang out there either.
Environment.
That's the attitude. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Before we get to Bogusch quickly, George is in South Bend. We're talking about the four sports gods from Baltimore. And George, you think that Joe Flacco should be on the list?
I wouldn't go that far, but what I would say is that the whole argument that somehow the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl because of their defense, no, it was not the defense. The defense was actually waning at that point. Joe Flacco's arm is what took them.
But George, Maggie said that about we were talking about 2000.
In 2000, they won. They beat Manny and Bogusch's Giants with defense.
Went 5 weeks without scoring a touchdown in 2000. That's what I think we were referring to. And I know what you're saying.
Okay. Well, anyway, Flacco,
it was an all-time run. One of the greatest runs an individual quarterback has been on. I totally agree with you.
And Ray Lewis, if you ask him, and he said this publicly, he said they won that Super Bowl on the strength of Joe Flacco's arm. But getting back to your Mount Olympus or your Mount Rushmore, you got to put Frank Robinson on there too.
I thought about that.
So the one thing about Frank Robinson, you're right. He just didn't guys like Cal Ripken, Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer spent 20 plus years. Frank Robinson was only there for 6 years, I think. So compared to those other guys, but yeah, Frank Robinson's a legend.
But there's another. There's two. There's one legend we forgot. Sorry, I'm sorry. You got to go to. I know we got to get the Bogues. Go to PJ in Atlanta because there's an Oriole, and thank you, George. There's an Oriole that I worshipped as a kid who could be on here.
Okay, PJ in Atlanta, you're up.
Yeah, Eddie Murray.
Yeah.
Eddie Murray's tricky. He was the man. To me, he's better than Chipper Jones. He's the second best switch hitter of all time. And then also receiving votes, if you like, when we used to look at the AP poll, I'd go Burt Jones and maybe a Mike Curtis.
Ooh, interesting on Mike Curtis.
The linebacker. And I live here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, the aquarium's been open for 20 years. It does 3 million people a year. It's ridiculous.
Wait, PJ, what's the big draw for the aquarium? Now you guys got me into the aquarium talk.
Yeah.
Whale shark? I'm looking it up.
Where is it in Atlanta? I've been to Atlanta.
It's right down by the Omni and right down by
it is?
Park.
By College Football Hall of Fame?
Yep.
That's correct. It's right across the street. And they have a little you just stand there and the conveyor belt pulls you through and it's all over top of you. It's a good spot.
I'll tell you what. I'm looking at this whale shark. Well, Eddie Murray, but he can wait. No, I'm just kidding. PJ, thank you. This is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life.
I want that anxiety.
Oh, come on. Whale sharks don't even eat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at their teeth, though, that I'm seeing.
No, they don't have. They're skimmers. You're fine.
Oh, all
they
right.
don't want you.
Yeah, whale sharks are totally fine.
All right, Manny, put down the Xanax. We're good.
By the way, it wouldn't be Mike Curtis, right? If you were to do an old, like John Mackey, right? He has a word named after him. Also, who's the guy, Alan Amici, because he ran in the famous touchdown in the greatest game ever played.
Was that Colts Giants, right? Is what you're talking about?
Yeah, but then again, you just didn't give love to the old Baltimore Colts. They got their heart broken when they moved to Indy, and then you just broke their heart all over again, Maggie.
Somebody had to do it, I guess. I just put the Orioles, a lot of Orioles on this list.
It didn't have to be done.
Who am I taking off? You want to take off Jim Palmer?
Johnny Unitas has to be in this 4.
So who are you taking off? Brooks Robinson? Taking off Cal Ripken or Ray Lewis?
Out of those 3,
Yeah.
Brooks.
And Palmer, by the way, over Johnny Unitas.
Oh, yeah, all right. You have Palmer. Yeah. Johnny Unitas has to be. Like, it's not a thing without him.
I mean, my fiance's family's from Maryland, and they live in Baltimore, most of them now. I just feel like when I go there, I don't see Johnny Unitas as a thing.
He's not.
And
that could be a bad job by the city. That's not necessarily.
I think it is a bad job by the city. But I mean, when I am around Camden Yards or when I've gone to, I mean, the way they worship Robinson and Palmer, like I didn't realize it was like that.
Wait, why would there be a Johnny U statue at Camden Yards?
No, not at Camden,
I'm
but
saying
just
in the
anywhere.
city. Just anywhere. I've been everywhere. I haven't been to. I didn't go to a Ravens game, but I don't think there could be a statue of Johnny Unitas there. Like that city is so Ravens now. Like I just don't. I guess I haven't spoken to an older gentleman who could maybe tell me about the Colts. But when I talk to friends of their families about the Ravens or whatever, like just football wise, Johnny Unitas just doesn't get talked about.
He gets talked about, I think, more as an NFL
as an NFL
legend.
icon. Yeah.
And I think the quarterbacks do, especially like the Bradys and the Peyton Mannings and stuff, do a good job of keeping that alive. More Peyton Manning and stuff. But you're right. Being in Baltimore a lot and going to college in D.C. and then working in Baltimore a little bit, it just wasn't as big as the Orioles.
And it's a shame because, I mean, he should have much more of a presence. But, I mean, that is a city that reps their sports athletes big time. A lot of sports shops, a lot of places you get gear. There's just nothing with Johnny Unitas. You wouldn't think that he played there.
There is a Johnny U statue at whatever it is, M&T Bank.
Yeah,
M&T Bank
Stadium.
Wow.
Yes, Baltimore Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium.
Thank you.
I haven't seen it. What does it look like?
It looks like Johnny Unitas throwing a football.
Yeah, see that
one image that I have of Johnny Unitas throwing a
to be
football.
fair, it doesn't look like Dwayne Wade is holding a Heat jersey in his statue, so we had to be
Hopefully
clear.
better.
Yeah.
Nothing will be worse than Dwayne Wade.
Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I think they melted that one down. It was so offensive, and I think they created a new one. Bogusch, will you hang with us for a second? No time for our headlines here. Will you give us a minute?
No.
Thank you for being such a team player. See you guys on the phones. We'll get back to the Baltimore Mount Olympus in just a sec and Bogusch's headlines. It's Maggie and Perloff Show.
There's real crocodiles in there.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She see money all around me. I look like I'm the man.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff, the Mount Olympus of Baltimore, Maryland. Front and center, getting people upset. Lots to choose from here. I had to leave some big names off because of the
sports city.
Great sports city. Rich history, obviously, with the Orioles. You had the Baltimore Colts. Now you've got the Ravens. You have Michael Phelps on the individual side of things. We got a couple more that you guys want to weigh on quickly. We'll just recap. I put Cal Ripken Jr., I put Brooks Robinson and Jim Palmer on my list, along with Ray Lewis. Pearl?
Yeah, I had Ray Lewis and Cal Ripken. I also had Michael Phelps and Johnny Unitas.
Charlie is in Vancouver, Washington. Charlie, who'd we miss?
I think Burt Jones has to be on there just because he's the best-looking human being that ever lived. I can remember my mom making us watch the Colts play when Burt Jones was on there. And I think that should be our new Mount Olympus when we're done with this because the summer's kind of slow. The best-looking players in each city.
Oh.
And can I give one Cooper Flagg prediction?
Of course.
I think he's a lot more Christian Laettner and Danny Ferry than he's going to be like Kevin Durant or anything else. I think he just might be a tad bit. I think he's really good at everything. But I think when you get to the NBA, really good at everything doesn't do it. You have to be great at something to be super great. And I just don't think he's going to be that. I think he's just going to be a good player, and that's it.
Perloff, that kind of falls in line with what you have said in the past, where sometimes being a great college player doesn't actually translate.
Well, except that, to counter, like, he's so young. Like, his upside is so much higher. Ferry played 4 years at Duke, right? And
yeah, but can you imagine how bald he's going to be in 3 years? I mean, we haven't seen that.
How what?
How bald he's going to be?
But you thought the
That's
hairline?
what I'm saying. We're going to know how he's not that good. I mean, look at that haircut. He's going to be Danny Ferry because of that.
He's a lot more athletic than Danny Ferry. I mean, he's like,
he is.
He could jump, like, his shot blocking is crazy. Danny Ferry couldn't block my shot, dude.
Isn't Cooper Flagg one of those guys, just like Charles Barkley? I mean, didn't we find out he's about 6'9" or 6'8" when we thought when he was first on the Sports Illustrated 7 foot Cooper Flagg? I mean, And who's the guy who went from 6'11" to 6'7" yesterday? I think the guy from Rutgers. I mean,
Ace
that
Bailey.
reminds me of Charles Barkley, because Barkley was 6'8" at Auburn. I remember that. I mean, 6'8", 6'8", 6'8". He might be 6'4". It's like crazy. I love it.
Charlie, awesome call all the way around. Gave us a little bit to chew on. Yeah, I did notice last night because you and Jerry Recco's yesterday made such a big deal about arguing over how tall Ace Bailey was on the broadcast last night, at least on ESPN, 6'7.5".
Wait. There's no argument. He got measured at the NBA Combine at 6'7.5", and Jerry's just like, that's not true. I'm like, they measured him. He's like, I've stood next to him. That's a lie. He said the Combine was lying.
It's a shoes on, shoes off.
It doesn't matter. He's saying even with shoes on, that was not true.
I don't want to rehash it again, but again,
there's no rehashing because it was like, what am I doing here? Like, they had a ruler, and they measured him, and it was 6'7.5" with no shoes. And Jerry's like, nope.
But, Perloff, you don't think that when he stands next to him, he sees someone who feels 6'9" because he's always talking to Bailey when he's wearing shoes?
I just think also facts don't mean anything anymore. We're in a post-fact society, and the fact that you guys don't know that is crazy. No, so that was one thing. Doing the Mount Olympus of best-looking guys. So I'm actually taking a look at Burt Jones. He looks exactly like Jared Goff to me, spitting image. And I don't think of Jared Goff as being this heartthrob of a guy. Tall, handsome, fine, but I don't see him as the best-looking dude. I'm surprised Charlie's mom was so infatuated with Burt Jones. Yeah, he looks a little...
Hubba.
You're telling me that Joe Namath wasn't as handsome?
Well,
going back
Burt
to
Jones
70s quarterbacks?
He was, Burt Jones won an MVP, I think. He was a big deal. I think he was known as a matinee idol.
Dan Fouts. I mean, you got some really handsome guys.
Yeah, I watched his special on that team back at Films, and like he was very popular with the ladies.
I mean, that's saying
he can fix a lot of stuff.
This guy? Seriously?
Yeah, but you're not saying.
Surprised.
Come on, man.
He looks like Goff.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be that guy, but this dude.
I'm saying we got Tom Brady now, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like you got a lot to live up to if you're talking about hot quarterbacks.
I'm more of a Henrik Lundqvist guy. I'm sticking with my hockey goalies.
Well, let's keep it quarterbacks for a second. Like no disrespect to Burt Jones. I've seen some older pictures now. He's certainly a handsome older gentleman, but he's going to make it into a Mount Olympus of best looking quarterbacks.
He looks like Eddie Munster. What am I looking at?
Oh,
am I joking? Am I looking at the wrong Burt Jones?
You might be.
I don't think I am.
He's got a couple of unflattering haircuts, it appears, during his Colts career.
But you have to understand, it was the 70s.
Right.
The 70s.
It fit then.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like
that's rough.
That's the age of the Brady bunch, right? You got Greg Brady and Dad Brady. Those guys were
Brady.
Those guys were handsome.
They were like wearing perms.
Yeah,
they were somehow making it work. Okay, so I don't know if we have time to do Mount Olympus of best looking, but we are doing weekly brackets coming up in July. You want to go? We could do best looking athlete in a bracket.
Yeah, I guess we all don't see this the same way. Who are like the known like good looking?
Well, it's Brady
Jimmy Garoppolo,
yeah. Jalen Brunson, sure.
I think Jalen Hurts is
steadily
climbing.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley.
Kelly Oubre.
No, Saquon Barkley looks like he's 12.
You don't think Saquon Barkley is a good-looking dude?
He's of course a good-looking
Get your glasses checked out.
Compared to a normal human being, yes. But Saquon Barkley, if you're looking for a 5th grade date, he looks like he's 9 years old.
What?
Saquon's a baby face.
That's a
So does Chalamet. It's not stopping him.
That's true.
We'll think about it, Charlie. We'll think about it. Andrew Bogusch has headlines for us. What's up, Bogusch?
As we all knew, the Nets had 5 picks at their disposal in the first round of the draft last night. Maybe they'd trade some for a star. Maybe they'd package a couple to move up to pick a star. Or they could use all 5 on players who created varying degrees of shrugs from Nets fans. BYU guard Yegar Demon was the first pick at number 8. Michigan 7-foot guard Danny Wolf was the last at number 27. All told, Sean Marks drafted 4 guards, 3 of whom play the points.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
A chance that one of them is useful at some point in the near future in Brooklyn. Why
you sound so sad?
I'm just disappointed retroactively again that they didn't tank well enough to be closer to Cooper Flagg land.
But that was a look who won, though, that lottery.
Yeah, but the Nets were closer than the conspiracy theories would have given it to the Nets, in my twisted, illogical mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish they would have left with one person that was a little less of a flyer.
Gotcha.
Do you want to know the worst part about this? Is if somehow like Malawak or someone who was taken, who fell
The
a little
Illinois
bit.
guard bothers me that he was on the board for 3 of their picks. I think they didn't take him, or 2 of their picks. I would have liked him.
Like, there's a possibility that this is not just bad because none of these guys work out, but that someone taken right behind Igor Demon ends up becoming awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Well, I don't know.
Read the last 5 or 6 drafts. Like, those picks are speculative.
Yeah, and I guess that's the problem, right? Our first question last night in Brooklyn was, what would those Sixers do at number 3? They stayed there, went with Baylor's VJ Edgecombe. The Jazz rolled the ace Bailey Dice at number 5. The Wizards following with Texas shooter Trey Johnson. And the Pelicans went with Oklahoma point guard Jeremiah Fears. All of that, of course, coming after Cooper Flagg went number 1 to those Mavs. Round 2 is tonight. A little breaking news from the NFL this morning. The Bucs reportedly signing head coach Todd Bowles and GM Jason Light to multi-year extensions. Tampa Bay has won 3 straight NFC South titles. A'ja Wilson is the fastest player in WNBA history to 5,000 career points. It took 238 games, 4 fewer than Breanna Stewart. Wilson got to the milestone while scoring 22 in last night's 85-59. Oh, my God.
Aces
rout of the Sun. I don't know who the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft next year will be, but the Sun are tanking hard to have that top pick. Another vintage Jacob deGrom performance last night in Baltimore. No hits allowed until Colton Cowser's single leading off the bottom of the 8th. Bruce
Olympus.
Bochy then pulled the 37-year-old.
I was going to give him a shot at it, and first guy that got a hit, that was far enough. We had a nice lead, and but he's so fun to watch. He really is. I've said this. I'm a fan when he's pitching.
DeGrom was actually perfect through 6, the no-no through 7. He ended up walking 2, struck out 7 in a 7-0 Rangers win. He's now 8-2, a 2.08 ERA, and he's already made more starts this season than the last 2 years combined. And this is exactly what we need, a longer regular season. The NHL and its Players Union reportedly discussing an 84-game calendar. The 2 added games would be divisional matchups since teams are asking for them. The league, meanwhile, would get to keep the overall structure where teams play at least a home-and-home every season.
It's quite a zag.
Yes.
Where everyone's saying maybe you should play fewer regular season games, and here comes hockey. It's like, nope.
Yeah. The NFL model. They'll lop off some preseason games to make up for these 2 extra regular season games.
I get it. Wait, can I apologize? Saquon Barkley's at the top of all these good-looking NFL players.
Duh.
What? He's got his thighs are so big. Like Jalen Hurts is definitely
What
better.
does that matter? We're talking about faces.
Well,
You didn't see that guy on
CeeDee
ESPN?
Lamb could go on to
Tom Brady's body is.
CeeDee Lamb could walk
he's
on a
not
faster
God,
runway
great
right
God.
now. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they're clearly, to me, more handsome, classic. Like, CeeDee Lamb could model, like,
Wait,
today. He looks like a model.
Have you seen Saquon Barkley in the
Yes,
Body
I'm
magazine?
looking at Saquon Barkley. He's like cute little Saquon Barkley. It's like, give him a hug.
Saquon Barkley, that man will jump over you and then take your lady afterwards.
Saquon? No,
Yes,
he's too
Saquon
nice.
Barkley, the Penn Stater.
Saquon Barkley will jump over you, and then he'll go out to dinner with your family afterwards. He's the
He probably
nicest.
would do that too, and then he would go out and have some activities with your wife.
Saquon Barkley, a player? Like, Jalen Hurts, I get it. He's mysterious. He's got that facial hair going. Like, I get that. Not Saquon. I don't get it.
Saquon's a good-looking dude.
I mean,
Yummy.
I guess the only way to settle this is a bracket. I didn't think we were doing this today. This is Charlie in
Hurts.
Vancouver.
Give me Hurts.
That's a good-looking dude too. I hate those guys.
He looks like a pirate with a mustache. Like, dashing.
All right. Cooper Flagg went to the Mavs. Okay.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
With the 5th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Arius Ace Bailey from Rutgers University.
Adam Silver on ESPN last night. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Cooper Flagg to the Mavs. Pearl, we knew that was going to happen. We knew the moment the draft lottery happened that he was going to Dallas. We had no idea where Ace Bailey was going to land last night, and it turns out he is a top 5 pick. He goes to Utah. Reports are that's not where he wanted to go. He was trying to thread some kind of needle of getting to either D.C., New Orleans, or Brooklyn. Didn't happen because the Jazz took him at 5.
Well, I mean, listen, this whole draft process, Ace Bailey, I know we just talked about it before, like him not being 6'11", everyone thought he was going to be the next Kevin Durant, and he's 6'8". Mm-hmm. At 6'8", like, who is he? Is he Jabari Smith? I mean, I'm not exactly sure. It's not a guarantee that he's going to be starting. I honestly thought coming to this draft, I'm like, oh, this is possibly the next Kevin Durant, who's so effective because he's taller than everybody and get a shot off. Is Ace Bailey, he's not going to be a defensive demon. Is he definitely going to be able to score like crazy? He was in and out of Rutgers. You know, there were games where he was great and games where he disappeared. I'm not so sure. This, as a Sixer fan at 3, I wanted Ace Bailey, but I wasn't like, oh my God, we have to get this guy. It's not a guaranteed starter by any means.
Well, none of these guys are. I mean, they're all lottery tickets to some degree. But what I think is kind of interesting for Bailey, who became almost the story of the draft because it was very unusual that he didn't do any individual workouts, didn't do any meetings, and he tried to really dictate where he was going to go in this odd way when he wasn't the number one prospect and he didn't have any kind of leverage like that. So now he goes to Utah and is a guy who's kind of a pain in the neck before the draft going to continue to be a pain in the neck? I have no idea. Is he going to continue to be sort of doing things in a way that is sort of outlier? Now, he could be a great kid. And by all accounts, he is a great kid who loves basketball and all of that. But clearly he's got people around him who are in his ear, who are telling him to do things in an unorthodox way. And basketball has become famous for guys being unhappy and wanting out of their cities and teams, whether it makes sense or not. So it's something to keep an eye on. I know Utah doesn't get all the national publicity in the world, but what puts you on the map in some ways for the wrong reasons is having a disgruntled, like air quotes, star. And Ace Bailey hasn't done anything yet. He didn't do anything in college except for put some good tape out there, but they won, 15 games? I mean, it was disappointing that Rutgers had two guys taken in the top 5 and couldn't even make the NCAA tournament. Is this going to continue to be a situation that devolves or evolves into something good and something positive?
If an NBA player is disgruntled in the woods and no one is there to witness it, do we care? You say keep an eye on. I mean, do you honestly think anybody's going to remember he's a Jazz come February?
Yeah, if he wants out, because everyone just did this draft evaluation on him, and they see the talent.
But he's not going to want out halfway through his rookie year.
No, but there are ways where you don't buy in, and it becomes a story. Now, it may not. Maybe he gets to Utah and says, I love it here, and the Ainge family looks like geniuses. I don't know.
But you say they don't get all the national attention. They get no national attention. I mean, that's the thing with the bottom of the NBA. It is invisible. I was watching teams last night, and they were showing their starting lineup. There are teams who you really disappear in the bottom chunk of the NBA. I really think it's a very top-heavy league. So, for example, most of the teams that are in top 10, maybe I'll see that guy in 5 years when he hits free agency. Honestly, I'm curious what Con Nipple is going to be like in the NBA. I ain't going to see him in Charlotte.
A little too much nipple.
I mean, you might see him anyway, that's the thing with this draft. There's something, we were talking about why does the NBA draft not feel as big as the NFL draft? There's something a little bit broken right now. Would you agree with that? Something felt off last night to me, that it's just like the way teams are drafting and building teams. It's like the Jazz and the Washington and Charlotte and New Orleans, they have no chance. It doesn't even feel, the guys are too young, too speculative. It just, something felt way off to me last night. And the fact that it was, a lot of us went to ESPN and couldn't figure out where Stephen A was. It was on ABC. I don't know. The whole draft feels off to me.
Okay, so let's trace this back, because there's a lot of people, maybe I'm one of them, who thinks that the draft lottery is nudged and helped.
Maybe that's why. Yeah,
well,
could
and
be.
I'm just saying, if Utah, who lost the most games of anybody in the NBA, if they actually got the number 1 pick and they got Cooper Flagg, well, maybe we're talking about Utah a little bit more.
That could be it.
But instead, we're going to talk about Cooper Flagg with the Mavericks, which, by the way, is still interesting because the Mavs are in a totally different spot.
They are. No, the Mavs are definitely very, very interesting. I'll give you that.
In some ways, maybe this whole draft lottery and how they flatten the odds is not actually working how they want it to work. They want teams not to tank. Well, teams are still tanking, so they haven't disincentivized teams generally. You have teams who go out of their way in these weird ways to tank, where they'll let a guy play for the first half, won't let him play for the second half, won't let him play for the fourth quarter to ensure losing, even though you're not insured to get the number 1 pick. Yeah. And so a guy like Cooper Flagg, who could have gone to Utah and really could have put them on the map, that's not happening, or that didn't happen this time.
Also, the NFL is under some criticism now because the owners basically colluded so there's no guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
Look what the guaranteed contracts have done in the NBA. The biggest A in the offseason is the fact that Boston was able to trade away Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. Everyone's like, whoa, Boston with their brilliant moves again. It's almost, and the Sixers couldn't trade away Paul George. It's almost like the best move is to get rid of guys. There's just a messed up, are the aprons working? I don't totally understand how they work.
Well,
but
considering
I feel like
half of basketball fans have no idea or care what they are.
But then your star player is probably going to leave to get under the apron. That's not good for fans.
No, it's not good for the sport either. And it's, I guess, keeping the owners maybe from themselves, or trying to stack super teams, or trying to suppress the players dictating where they want to go. I have no idea why they came up with this apron thing, because once you start getting so expensive and into these luxury taxes, it triggers all these other things that are like, you can't make certain trades, you can't get mid-level exceptions. It just hamstrings everything.
But it's about parity? Is it about creating parity?
I just think they didn't want star players teaming up and deciding, hey, we're all going to Brooklyn or we're all going to Miami. I think that's what it is.
I think it was a kind of a pushback against the Warriors, because the Warriors were one of those teams where they were willing to go into the luxury tax as much as they wanted, as long as they could continue to build their roster, and people were willing to take a little less or take the mid-level exception to sign with the Warriors. And the only punitive thing was you just had to pay more money, which Joe Lacob had no problem doing, especially when you built a new arena. The thing with the apron, it's supposed to make it punitive to keep going into the tax, so that teams can't just continue to stack great rosters and say, well, we're over the cap, but we don't care because we're a great team.
But like, the Warriors probably represent like one of the apexes of the NBA, because people cared about that team, and LeBron was a good foil for that, and all the good things that came along with Steph Curry and Draymond being polarizing, and Clay being such a great shooter, and Steve Kerr, that helped the NBA.
But then what you got though was, what was it, 4 finals between the Cavs and the Warriors, and you had 2 competitive ones. Like, I think, and then a conference in the East during that time that was nowhere near the West. I think that was the issue.
Yeah.
I think they looked at, we are seeing the same teams play. The Cavs were the same way. They were no problem being in the luxury tax because they had LeBron's championship window, so they're going to keep spending no matter what, and I think they wanted to get rid of that. Fair or unfair. I don't love the rule. I just think that you're seeing teams make non-basketball decisions, which I don't think you want teams doing.
Well, I mean, look, the Warriors had to innovate to figure out the last system. Yep. Like, somebody had to come in and innovate to figure out how to beat the Warriors, and someone had to figure out eventually LeBron would get old. So the flip side of the apron is you get the Phoenix Suns, and if you make a couple big contracts, boom, you're screwed for 8 years. That's the problem, I think. The Suns are a massive problem for the NBA. They have to look at this and say, oh my God, we have this. It's a laughingstock amongst all pro sports because of the structure.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Like, if you are an NBA person, or even if you're just a casual basketball fan, last night should have been a big night. I mean, we knew where Cooper Flagg was going to go, but there's so many question marks about the Mavs. This is supposed to be a really great draft. And I don't know if it really captured everyone's imagination.
Well, I think the other problem, too, is the college issue. Is
guys don't stay.
The guys don't stay.
Yeah.
And the guys that do stay, they've played for 2 or 3 teams. Like, that's another reality that teams got to deal with, that these fan bases aren't going to be carrying maybe as much excitement for seeing their guys get drafted for a guy that was only there for a year.
Yeah, a lot of freshmen and sophomores were taken in the first 15 picks. That was something that I saw early on.
NBA draft used to be my favorite night of the year. Loved it. I'm thinking back the night that the Sixers were looking at Sean Bradley, Chris Webber, Penny Hardaway.
That didn't work out well.
I've heard some of those.
That worked out
Sean
terribly.
Bradley made it to the broadcast last night because of Igor Demon was the other BYU
lottery pick.
Yeah, lottery pick.
Yeah, I mean, NBA draft used to be loaded with stars, people we knew. And now it's like VJ Edgecombe's the number 3 pick. And I'm sorry, like, no impact.
Well, I said this
Jeremiah
before.
Fears, no impact.
Well, I said this before, and I know Perloff disagree with it, but I think because when Derrick Rose and those guys were coming out, those were massive stars.
Yeah.
But the freshmen were better. Like, they were better during the Kevin Durant era, Derrick Rose. Like, when those guys were coming in, those guys were killers because they were great in college.
Well, Cooper was great, too.
Like, I mean, Dylan and Ace were great, but those teams were terrible, as Maggie reminds us every single time we talk about these guys.
Yeah,
like,
but
Trey Johnson, like, his team was, barely made the tournament. Should not have made the tournament. Barely made the tournament. These guys didn't make the impact on college basketball the way I think John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, some of these other guys did. So the familiarity is even worse than it was even back then, because these are people you're not really seeing in a tournament.
Yeah,
you're not seeing in marquee games even. Like, that's a problem.
What did Shea Gilgeous-Alexander do in college? I mean, maybe he was good. I'm sorry, but like,
well, that Kentucky team wasn't that great.
Yeah, but basically, though, I mean, I don't think it's that. So you're saying they were just better players back then? What's the structural thing?
I mean, guys were taking the team to the Final Four. I mean, Kevin Love took his team to the Final Four. John Wall, they had lost 1 or 2 games in college. Like,
so what's changed? Like, why would it not be happening now?
I'll tell you why. The game is much older now. You have teams that are getting transfer portal guys. They're getting guys who are 5th, 6th-year seniors. And if you think you can be led by a freshman team, that's why what Cooper did was so ridiculous. That's why if you doubt he's a great player, I think you got to look at what he did, taking a team of freshmen to the Final Four. That does not work now.
Oh, yeah, it's the Villanova, Jay Wright thing.
Exactly.
It is interesting. Now we'll see how it translates, and especially with Flagg, because you're right. He's stepping into a situation with Anthony Davis, and when Kyrie Irving comes back and is healthy, they just gave not Lively, the other one, Gifford. They just gave Gafford. Excuse me. They just gave him an extension, but I still think there's plenty of question marks with the Mavs. It starts with the GM. I mean, obviously, Nico Harrison might be one of the most unpopular people in the United States, let alone just Dallas. They're chanting "Fire Nico" last night while they're taking Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick, and I don't know if I trust their ownership, new owners, and I don't know if I trust that Jason Kidd actually wants to be the coach there. Now, to what degree that matters, or whatever you think coaching in the NBA matters, but it's kind of hard to find a coach. Just ask the Knicks fans here. So 888-710-4ISN. JT's in Atlanta. JT, what caught your eye last night in the first round of the draft?
So it was a couple things. First off, Charlie is the epitome of this whole thing, right? You can't compare Cooper to anybody but other white guys, right? Like, this is ridiculous. I think that, his comparisons were what? Christian Laettner and Danny Ferry.
White Duke guys.
Yeah, Duke guys, right?
Right. Like I think that we got to get past this. Am I the only one that saw him as a select balling out against the Olympians? Like, yeah. I mean, like, he belonged, and it wasn't even like he was kind of okay. He was a dominant player okay. All right, so I'm done with that part of it. But my thing is this Harris Boyles dude. You talk about why the NBA draft is kind of like it's the entitlement that these kids have nowadays. I mean, this dude is getting drafted, and he has the nerve to stand up and shake his head like he's disappointed. I mean, dude, you just got drafted in the NBA as a lottery pick.
So let's if in case the audience didn't hear or didn't see what happened, let me just paint the picture for them. So the Raptors have the number 9 overall pick. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be Malawak there, by the way, but it's not. They zag and go with Colin Murray Boyles from South Carolina. So the kid, the young man, stands up, and you see him just let out the F word, like exhaled it. And I think what it was, now he's getting crushed for that because it makes it seem like what you're saying, JT, he's entitled. He doesn't want to go to Toronto. I think it's the opposite. I think he did not expect to be a top 10 pick. South Carolina was not a good basketball team last year, and I think he was shocked. So I think the F word was shock. Is that possible?
Not from what I saw. His facial expression was.
JT, where'd you go? You got cut off there. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, the phones are acting weird. What did you guys think about that moment if you saw it? Did you think he was relieved or surprised, and that's where the F-bomb came from, or that he really didn't want to go to Toronto?
I saw it portrayed as he didn't want to go to Toronto. I never even thought about it until you told me the angle that he was just surprised.
Wasn't everybody surprised?
Yeah, I guess
top 10 pick?
I thought all night that, he was upset. But then you're right. I think it's more likely to be surprised because nobody would do that. That seems egregious.
I thought it was relief.
Right.
Like, finally, I'm done. I did it. I'm in the NBA. Expletive. I did it.
I think everyone was so busy looking at his girlfriend. Nanny.
Want to climb that mountain, Manny?
Are you kidding me? Twice,
woman.
3 times maybe.
I will say this, though. I mean, I think, and he talked about it when he talked to NBA TV. I mean, he was very complimentary of the Raptors organization. He said, it means so much to me to go there. So I don't think it was he was upset. It looks like that. And I'll push back on JT's narrative. Jay Bill said it a bunch. That was a very emotional night. I don't know who, besides Ace Bailey, you want to make that case, sure. I don't know how you watched that and thought those kids looked entitled. Guys
People
were in tears,
crying.
Families in tears.
Yeah.
Like, guys couldn't even talk when they got to the mic to talk about how happy they were. The last time I saw a draft like this was the Zion Williamson draft, where I think literally the first 4 picks, everybody was crying. Dads were crying. Yeah. I was crying in my home. That was the last time I remembered anything like this.
Who made you cry? John Morant?
It was...
Man up.
It was Zion.
He made you cry? We knew.
RJ and Rowan, or what's his dad name?
Yeah, or Rowan Sr.
Yeah, Rowan Sr. And then I think Ja cried. I think it was the first 3 guys.
Last night was a tear fest.
Last night was that. But if you ever time for random reasons, go back to 2019. The first 3 or 4 picks, it's just everybody's crying. Zion could barely talk. RJ's with his dad, and they're crying doing the interview. Like, I don't know. I don't see
Maybe
this
guys are more in touch with their emotions right now.
Yeah, I don't see this thing of people being entitled. Like Ace Bailey, okay, he didn't want to go to a team, but everyone else was super emotional last night.
Wait, who said they were entitled?
That was what JT just said. He said the only reason why the draft was mad because we think these kids are entitled today.
I VJ Edgecombe is the opposite of entitled.
Yeah, I think that's a total wrong read based on what I saw last night.
If you want, by the way, did you guys see it went viral to Colin Murray Boyle's shooting drill at the combine?
Oh boy!
Oh my God! Like, thank God that guy's out on my team. I'm sorry.
Oh boy!
I didn't love this pick.
Yeah.
It was a stunner.
Yeah,
and it's not that he's bad. I don't like. They have guys like this. Like they have RJ, they have Scotty Barnes, the guy I'm thinking about mostly. Like, I don't know, like, why wouldn't they take Milo Watch? I didn't understand that.
I saw RJ's big time on the trade market. Manny, you want to get your guy back?
Not particularly. Maybe for like a first round draft pick, maybe. But I'm.
I thought
he was your guy.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't really think he fits right here, right now. And
Manny's moved on.
A little bit. I still love you, though.
Yeah,
Rowan.
that's why. By the way, you guys said that you need to go to a bad team to get good numbers to get paid. I mean, I guess RJ Barrett came into a bad. Like, that guy's making a lot of money in the NBA, and nobody even wants him. A lot of money.
As far as like my favorite story from last night, maybe Malawach, because you grow up in South Sudan. I mean, and then you end up making it to the NBA. Mm-hmm. Those are some real odds stacked against you.
And he's facing some real serious things with the immigration laws too.
Absolutely. Obviously, that's a great pick. Did you guys see the Cedric Coward pick, though? So this was only a couple years ago. He was actually had to pay $25,000 to go to a D3 school. And then worked his way from D3, I believe it's D3 to D2, and then to D1, where he ended up at Washington State. And then he gets drafted number 11 overall, was the Portland pick, but he ends up going to the Grizzlies. I mean, that's a pretty amazing story.
I mean, the great stories. To me, the star of the night was very obvious. And that was Yang Hansen, who, as I will call him. The fact he stands up in the 8th row, the number 16 pick out of China, cannot button his massive oversized. Like, that must have been like David Byrne and Stop Making Sense. That was the biggest coat I've ever seen in my life. And then he couldn't button it, and he's coming down. I'm like, is he going to trip? By the way, and the other thing was how many people almost tripped last night in the whole setup. But
I would trip doing that thing.
There's so many little things. Do you guys notice all the black suits? I was telling Maggie, like, black on black is in, and it looked great. Guys were dressed amazing.
Well, the big one was, to me, how about Carter Bryant, no shirt?
Yeah,
no shirt.
That's an NFL thing usually.
Yeah, that was a move.
What happened to the baggy suits that I seen? There was mostly tight fitting suits.
Yeah, get those out of here. Thank God those are done.
Done already. Michael B. Jordan was on the cover of a magazine last month. Looking him. Yeah, it was crazy to me how and also the blue suits that Cooper Flagg and Knippel wore. Anyone have an issue with that?
I like navy.
No, it was Duke blue.
No, Knippel's was navy.
I did. It was a little
Duke
lighter
blue?
than navy. Look at it again.
Oh boy.
Let me see.
Look at it
Back
again.
to Maggie's green car or brown car.
Yes, I thought Shedeur Sanders was driving a brown car.
I thought it
green.
was light blue. Just like I thought they coordinated. Maybe I'm wrong.
I blame AI overview.
It's always wrong. Can't trust that thing.
That's definitely not navy. Or maybe I'm blind.
I don't think guys are going out on the limb as much as they used to. They don't want to get clowned anymore.
Well, Trey Johnson clearly is still doing that. He wore shorts.
Yeah, but the top, you couldn't tell.
I know. He looked great on top, and then he came up to the podium. I'm like, wow.
How about
he's wearing shorts.
Perloff just made a David Byrne reference from Talking Heads, which only I got in the room. But did you see last night, Jay Billis made a joke about how he was, I forgot what he said. He's like George Clooney on top, and he's the AC/DC on the bottom, and no one else on the panel had any idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
It just landed with such silence. It was so clear that Kendrick Perkins, Malika Andrews, and Andrea Carter had no idea what AC/DC looked like when they performed.
Why are you watching that broadcast?
I don't know.
By the way, shout out to Andrea Carter, though, for just blowing up that Nets fan who had no idea who Igor Dimon was.
Wow.
That was hilarious. Because they go to a Nets fan, and he's like,
What are we doing?
Guy?
Yeah.
What are we? And she's like, look at that guy. Must be casual. Doesn't know anything about basketball. I was like, good for you, Andrea. Get him.
Well,
I mean, the guy's at the draft. I don't know how he could be a casual.
If you're a Nets fan and you don't know who Igor Demon is and you're at the draft, you are a fraud. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you have 5 first-round picks. You should know the entire draft board.
Yeah.
You got to know everybody.
You should have went to Russia to talk to his old family members.
And Exhibit A, why no one is into the NBA right now. Because you're yelling at someone for not knowing who Igor Demon is.
Oh.
Yeah, pass. I'll watch a replay of an NFL game.
How about this? They sent Marty Smith to Maine. Did you guys
saw
see
that? Yeah.
That was fun.
ESPN sent Marty Smith to Maine to Cooper Flagg's hometown. And I kid
Which
you
has like
not.
1,000 people.
Yeah, well, 3,000. I kid you not. The report was I talked to his high school principal. I was like, get out of here.
You think Marty Smith likes his job?
I think he does. I think he has
definitely.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's the best job of all time.
I mean, they sent him to Maine in June, not January.
People love Marty Smith, too. He shows up anywhere.
I love me some Marty Smith. All that hair product that he has. I think he's great at what he does. I'm just wondering if you guys think that he likes what he does.
Like that assignment. We're going to need you to go to Maine.
Yeah, this was not Brian Windhorst being sent of France to have a one-question interview with Victor Wembanyama during that lottery. Remember that?
Why would they do that?
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
No, are you kidding me? That was the best assignment ever. Get to go eat in France for a week and ask one question. That's
I can get escargot down the street, man.
Look at you, fancy Manny.
I love me some escargot. Not
You
gonna
know,
lie.
you know, he works like Stephen A. Smith. You know, he was back on First Take in New York the next day. There was no week long in France.
Yeah, Windhorse.
Windhorse, that guy, the way they work him, no, that was not a week long. Let's hang out in France. That was go there. You're gonna show up 10 minutes before, ask your one question, and then be back in First Take tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
That stinks.
I'm highly dubious. As somebody who's been in the sports media for a long time, I'm highly dubious that Windhorst didn't get something out of this trip.
I think he wanted the relationship with Wembanyama. He probably volunteered for it.
I don't know. I'll go to Paris. You don't think he got one good meal out of this? He definitely did. Wendy knows what he's doing.
I'm not saying anything.
Wendy knows what he's doing.
You're walking me down the line. I'm being nice to Windhorst today.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention it.
Oh, that's
888.
He was doing
710-4ISN 888-710-4476. All right, we've got more questions for you off the draft last night, and one about the Lakers and how serious are they about really contending. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Born in the summer of '94, Zach Hill came to play. From Philly to the airwaves, making noise every day. Temple's proud on whip, sports director in the booth, and turned a '94 whip. Larry sharpened up his truth from the Jersey air on Fox Sports 90/20 to Eagles post games, making Mondays funny. Late nights on CBS, the Mad Dog in the mix. Now he's prime time 3 to 6. From the Jersey air on Fox Sports 90/30 to Eagles post games, making Mondays funny. Late nights on CBS and Mad Dog in the mix. Now he's prime time 3 to 6. Oh, Zach jumps on the air, turn the dial up loud. Sports talk legend in the making Daddy Bob proud. CBS Sports Radio every afternoon. Zach's got the taste that'll make you swoon. They say 2 a.m.'s for sleepers, but Zach changed the rule. National spotlight, just a kid out of school. Then he jumped to Sirius, NFL, and Mad Dog shows. CBS calling back, primetime flows. fly. From touchdowns to trades, he's the sports talk guy. From Philly roots to national clout, comes the host we can't live without. Oh, Zach Jones on the air, turn the dial up loud. Sports talk legend in the making Daddy Bob proud. CBS Sports Radio every afternoon. Zach's got the taste that'll make you swoon. Now he's breaking news, taking calls on the fly. From touchdowns to trades, he's the sports talk guy. From Philly roots to national clouds, comes the host we can't live without. Philly to the nation, he's got the drive. Every hot take, every call keeps the show alive. He's Bob Chubb's son, but he made his own name. Zach Chubb's the future of the sports talk game. Oh, Zach Chubb's on the air, turn the dial up loud. Sports talk legend in the making Daddy Bob proud. CBS Sports Radio every afternoon. Zach's got the taste that'll make you swoon. So if you love your sports talk, bold and smart, Zach Chubb's the guy with the fire and heart. From Temple to CBS, he's the voice on the scene, the king of the mic, the sports talk machine.
Corbuccio wipes the bottom of his sneakers. He's guarded by Lawson. Play in action. Corbuccio gets the screen from Ratliff. Corbuccio driving, finds Ratliff, free throw line, Jay, yes! Clock continues to run. Panthers have one final chance. Here's Kennedy. Kennedy with 5, step back, Jay, yes! Oh, Josiah Kennedy! Ice cold! Timeout, Stefon. Corbuccio wipes the bottom of his sneakers.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Mount Olympus today, Baltimore sports, contentious one. 4 sports gods from Baltimore. I went with John Unitas, Michael Phelps, Cal Ripken Jr., and Ray Lewis.
I'm joining you with Cal Ripken Jr. and Ray Lewis, but I put 2 more Orioles on my Mount Olympus. I put Brooks Robinson and I put Jim Palmer. Sports god and fan favorite, along with being a Hall of Famer and 3-time World Series champion, 3-time Cy Young.
This one I'm surprised by. I really thought Johnny Unitas was going to be on both our lists.
Listen, it's not that I'm trying to denigrate the memory or history of Johnny Unitas as a sports god. I'm just saying, for people who are living in Baltimore, walking around the streets now, I think Jim Palmer is still so much in their lives because not only
he does color,
because he does TV, and because he was, a 3-time champion, and because the Orioles have been the Orioles and stayed the Orioles and just been in Baltimore this whole time. There's no weird things about the city, the team moving in the middle of the night and then a new team coming in.
But that wasn't Johnny U's fault.
It's not Johnny U's fault, but it's part of the history of the city, and Johnny U shouldn't be feeling the brunt of that, but I think now it's about the Ravens, and it's probably more about Lamar Jackson, obviously, because he's the current star. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, but I feel like it's sports gods. We're assuming. I think we hit the same debate many times. Like New York, you had much more current than me. I guess I gave the old school, like the legendary guys, just based on name. You didn't have Mickey Mantle in New York, Doesn't matter that no one's seen him play for 75 years. He's still Mickey Mantle. He's still Johnny Unitas.
I thought he did have Mickey Mantle. I think I had Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. I had Walt Clyde. I didn't have Joe DiMaggio. I had Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. I had Walt Frazier, and I had did I have Patrick Ewing?
No, you had Steinbrenner.
Steinbrenner. I put George Steinbrenner on the list, yeah.
But I'm just saying there's some names are so big and iconic. They just supersede everything. And also, too, Baltimore, the Colts, that is a very, very famous. That was a love affair between a city and a team, which makes their move even more tragic. Again, not Johnny Unitas' fault. I know you're not saying it is.
No. But I think the love affair between Baltimore and the Orioles is one that is just as important as the Colts. But you and I clearly disagree.
They were a Colts down for sure. Watch the documentary about how they moved on the Mayflower trucks. That was through and through they're kind of like the Steelers. But anyway, you're right. They did leave and they came back different. The funny thing is the fifth guy, I wouldn't have even gone. Jim Palmer would have been way down my list because there's so many famous Orioles too. And obviously Brooks Robinson to me would have been the first one who you did have.
Yep, I did. I mean, listen, could you put like an Earl Weaver as far as like characters and the manager and the fiery manager? He was kind of like, there was that era of those fiery managers like him, Lou Piniella, others that would just rip umpires.
Yeah.
You just shook your head.
Someone called him with Eddie Murray too, which was great.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Manny show in my head. Made me shake my head.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say Earl Weaver would not have been a sports god in Baltimore.
No, but I really wish one of you would have put Earl Weaver in so I don't have to hear any more angry Pete Bellotti reactions to your foursomes, not including coaches. Apparently he needed Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh yesterday.
I thought about Chuck Noll.
You mentioned Earl Weaver this morning. So, and that is, again, that's what I get from 5:55 to 6:15 a.m. is Pete unleashing all complaints.
I would argue, by the way, Chuck Noll, for all those Super Bowls, like Chuck Noll doesn't get as much credit as other great coaches, right? Like Chuck Noll was not being, because like if you look at the list of all-time great coaches, or ranking, Chuck Noll's not on there. He never is.
What?
Like Don Shula,
I think you're an idiot.
Tom Landry, like Chuck Noll, it's a different vibe to me. Just a side point on NFL history.
You're right.
He was there, but he wasn't because of Chuck Noll. Anyway, that is a side debate. Bellotti's dead wrong on that one.
Come on, man.
I feel like I just watched a conversation with Perloff and AI Bellotti.
Yeah, the baby.
We don't need actual Pete anymore. He's not that good on the board. We know where all the good stuff is, the important stuff is saved, and we've got all of these banked clips. We just need that. That's it.
I just don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, in our own defense, I'd say this if Pete was here, we have had a lot of coaches on the list, though. We both put Lombardi on, right, for Green Bay. I know I did.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the size of the city. The bigger cities with a lot of teams, it's hard to get a coach. I always air a player because if you're doing sports gods, I think you're talking about players.
Yeah, and like you can't, the manager or the coach is in the conversation because of his players. So it's like he's always going to get trumped. Like, did you guys think about Joe Torre when we were doing New York? But we would have thought about Jeter or Rivera.
New York.
You wouldn't have gotten a Torre.
But if you were in a small market that it didn't have a lot of superstars, you might go Joe Torre.
But I still think, for the most part, you're going to find four players, to your point. Yeah.
Although I put Jerry Jones in Dallas. And did you put Tom Landry, right?
I put Tom Landry, yeah.
I think the truly iconic coaches are the ones that have a case.
We put Don Shula. We both put him in Miami.
You put Bill Belichick.
I put Belichick, and I got killed for it.
I made the case for John Wooden for L.A.
Yeah, the problem is it's L.A. I mean, it's a normal city.
It's John Wooden.
Yeah, but I mean, you took Kareem off yours?
I forgot who I took off, but I thought John Wooden should have been on there.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is in L.A. you have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Kobe Bryant. Like, yeah, John Wooden makes most of them, but we're talking about Baltimore here. I mean, look at the guys we're leaving off. This is crazy good.
It is 888-710-4ISN. Bogusch has headlines for us. What's up?
Any move a GM makes will have its detractors. What you don't want is having only detractors. So here's new Pelicans boss Joe Dumars getting universal criticism for sending an unprotected 2026 first-rounder to the Hawks last night to move up 10 spots for Maryland big Derek Queen. That pick is the better selection between the Pels and Bucks, so it should be a very good pick since New Orleans is not good and is in the very tough West, and Milwaukee will not have Damian Lillard next season. Dumars explains his motivation.
When you identify a player that you think this can be one of the foundations here, you go and get him. And that's what we did.
His bigger point is that when you make two picks in the lottery in 1 year, it somehow applies to the following year as well, that you don't need a lottery pick in the following year.
The Falcons, I think, kind of tried to do a similar thing, right? When they traded their future first to the Rams in the NFL draft because they wanted Pierce, and they're like, well, we want this guy, so it's like as good as having our first round pick next year. I don't know. It's always a dicey thing to do. And it was reminding me a little about Joe Dumar's history with the draft.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This was one of the most irresponsible draft trades I've ever seen.
Well, unless you think Derek Queen is going to be the next, I don't know what.
I just don't think that even that's a justification, because this could legitimately be the number one pick. The Pelicans are that bad. The Bucks don't have Giannis. Who knows? I mean, don't have a Dame. Who knows what happens with Giannis? Derek Queen is never going to be a value of a top 5 pick in any draft. So to trade that pick, it's unfathomable to me. I sat there and I kept thinking I was missing something, like there was some other asset that they must have gotten to do this.
Nope.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Completely
this
insane.
is a guy who took Darko Milicic in Detroit. That's what I'm talking about with his checkered draft history. Now, listen, they did win a title, so.
Yeah. It also, Derek Queen doesn't, at least in my estimation, doesn't unlock Zion. I don't even know if they can exist together. Plus, people think Derek Queen's to get in shape, and that's not a thing that happens in New Orleans.
By the
What
way,
makes you say that?
they don't need to play together. Like, one of them's got to be on the court. So,
they should play together often.
It's pretty good Zion insurance, too, because
Well, that's
assuming
what I
Zion would be
thought.
hurt. Yeah, I think we all thought that. I'm like, okay, well, they'll play 3 games together. I think I'm in on New Orleans.
You just said that they're going to play 3 games together.
No, I mean, just like I'm looking at their depth chart. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. Jordan Poole is going to have some crafty little moves, and then you got when Zion's out there, and they took Fears, right?
Love myself some Fears.
Yeah, this is exciting. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's going to be the number 1 pick next year. But this is some of the most up and down players in the league. These guys are all over the place. I see DeJounte Murray's on here. He's done, right?
He tore his Achilles in January. So, I mean, if he comes back, it's going to be second half.
Oh, my God. This is, talk about roller coaster rides. They have about 8 of them on this team. Also, Herb Jones is still there. I know a lot of people.
Jones is still there. Well,
a lot of people want him. Though.
Everyone loves Trey Murphy, but, like, nobody, they're not going to trade him. It's weird.
It's one of the weirdest teams ever put together. Yeah, that's with the NBA. I mean, Maggie, would you ever have like the NBA call them and say, you can't do that? That's too stupid.
Well, we've seen, I mean.
Are you guys sure?
Give you a 24-hour cool-off period before you have to.
Say it out loud to yourself and then get back to me.
I mean, the NBA does step in on stuff, and they do
step
in on stuff
with
New Orleans, but that's because they didn't have an owner at the time. Now they do. Presumably, someone's actually in charge over there.
Protecting a minor.
One of my brothers is a diehard Pelicans fan, and I texted him about this trade, just didn't text me back. That's how I know he's feeling it this morning.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the Suns were getting all the brunt of the hate. Now, last night, there was another team who got killed last. What was the other team that made a trade? Oh,
Charlotte.
maybe.
No, well, the Nets taking 5 first-round
No,
draft
it wasn't
picks.
that. There was
was it the Blazers for the Chinese guy? They traded for that
another
pick.
trade where, like, what is this team doing? Got killed by, I know Simmons was leading the charge about them not. Anyway, the bad teams jumped in and added some elements to this draft that we did not see coming.
I should mention that Pearl's Sixers went with Baylor's VJ Edgecombe last night at number 3. One of Maggie's favorites, Jace Richardson, going to Orlando
Saw that.
at number 25. Elsewhere in round 1, Ace Bailey ending up in one of the places we were told he didn't want to go. The Jazz selecting the Rutgers product at number 5. Round 2 is tonight in Brooklyn.
Sorry, the Hornets.
The Mark Williams trade?
Yeah, the Mark Williams trade. Like, what is going on there?
I thought people were praising Phoenix for that.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, what did they need Mark Williams for? And
they need bodies. Remember, we joked about their depth chart. That's all shooting guards.
But they gave a pretty good pick for that.
29.
Yeah.
Yeah. And took
Malawak
at the same time.
Yeah. That was remind me of the Falcons. It feels like that again. Draft picks seem like gold in the NBA. Why would you give them up?
It feels like I should mention that the Mets didn't lose last night.
Cox steals. Swinging a high fly ball, right center field. Harris on the run. He's at the track, at the wall, leaps, and it is gone! 2-homer night for Soto. A carbon copy shot just to the right of the home run apple. Deep into the night.
Keith Rad on Mets Radio.
Time.
Yeah, 2 homers for Juan Soto. A scorching June for him and a 7-3 Met win over the Braves. First time in 6 tries they beat Atlanta and just their second win in their last 12. I am a gentleman, so I will point out that the Yankees did win last night as well. 7-1 in Cincinnati.
Okay. I see how this is going now. I see
The
what's happening
Phillies
here.
lost to the Astros 1-0. They've yet to score in 2 games.
No, they lost 2-0 last night. They lost 1-0 the night before.
My fault.
Yeah, so when the Phillies stink, we don't do NL East highlights. When the Mets finally win a game, we do NL East highlights. That's how it works.
Pretty sure I played a Mets low light yesterday.
Yeah, that did
Just
happen.
as balance.
What I saw is Manny's no longer reciting Juan Soto stats. I'm wondering what that is.
And hey, you know what? Juan Soto with 2 dingers, and guess who has him in the home run derby contest out of the 4 of us? I was the 5 of us. I was the only one with the brain to pick the Dominican. Good job, Manny.
What a Perloff move. I'm a trash the guy, but I'm also having him on my team.
God. Honestly, I've complained to HR several times about the amount of idiots in these hallways arguing about Juan Soto. Like, nobody cares. Would you 2 fan bases get
Not
over
the hallway.
yourselves?
That's WFN radio.
Please. Yeah, I know.
By the way, you're bearing the lead that Dickie Lovelady got DFA'd
He
yesterday.
did get DFA. This stinks.
Dickie DFA, not as cool as Dickie Lovelady, and we're all worse off.
Yeah, what was that about? Bring him up and just send him down?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you see the way he pitched?
I know, but still.
I've considered this joke since that news came out yesterday. I thought maybe it was too risque for our group chat.
We have Marie Antoinette
true.
today. That's going to be legendary.
Do you think a girlfriend ever used the DFA Dickie line, breaking up with him?
Sending you down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
It'd be funny.
Manny looks confused. Do you not get it? Is that funny?
I get it. I just am wondering what my reaction would be.
Okay.
Think it's going to happen to you?
If I was Dickie Lovelady, yeah.
Manny, if this nice young woman who you met in Buffalo all of a sudden was like, "You're DFA'd,"
Deleting the number. What do you want me to do?
That's crazy.
Such an odd way to break up with somebody. I'm sorry. I've thought about this. We're gonna have to DFA you back to AAA Syracuse.
That's insane. Being told, you've been DFA'd.
Syracuse a little too close to Buffalo.
State's not big enough for the 2 of you.
Nope.
Honestly, some of these ladies, they got rosters. You might as well be getting cut and traded. Like
I've heard that. I've heard about those rosters.
Yeah.
Cut and traded.
Can't make a damn team.
Listen, you want women to be into sports. You keep us watching sports next to you all the time. We're going to pick up a couple things.
Yes. You guys are doing great.
You want to sit there and play, EA college sports for 16 hours.
Damn
We're going
right.
to pick up a couple notes.
Like Saquon Barkley is a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
It's not my type. And I'm a fan of his game. Give me the quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
If only he was more handsome when he jumped over that guy.
Yeah, why does that make you handsome? Yes. I mean, honestly, as a woman, don't those huge thighs give you pause?
Nope.
Like, really? I think like a tall, skinny guy is good looking.
Says the tall, skinny guy.
Like everyone's like,
Yeah, that's Sean
glasses,
Bradley. Maybe
hoodie,
rest in peace.
khaki.
nobody wants like too muscular.
Oh, I know. Chet Holmgren's really what we're all talking about in the group
Saquon's
chat.
built like a box. You want like the Brad Pitt in Fight Club body.
Maggie,
No,
go
that's
ahead.
what.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to back away with built like a box.
Go show me a fashion runway where there's a short, squat guy running around with big thighs. That's not what you guys have no idea what you're talking about. I'm clearly in the game.
Sure.
Maggie has no
There's
idea what
models.
makes a man attractive.
There's no
You're right.
models walking the runway with big thighs. That
Put
would
it
be
on the
immediately
poll, EJ.
out.
Put it on the
You're out.
poll. Thighs or no thighs?
The guy can barely wear pants.
Yeah,
That's
hot.
a plus for some ladies.
No.
Yes, it is. The gym body is a thing, Perloff.
No, not. We're talking like it's not.
You couldn't be less qualified on a topic than this one.
Also, very funny that you admitted your wife said last night that Henrik Lundqvist was too conventionally handsome.
Yeah, no, she
But
likes.
then you don't understand why we might also like somebody with big thighs. It works for men and women.
Yeah, it does.
Thick thighs save lives.
Yeah,
man.
they do.
I didn't really think about that with men, but now that you mention it,
So is
sure.
Quadzilla, AJ Dillon, the biggest hunk in the NFL?
Well,
Maybe.
might be.
Well,
No.
You think there are chicks watching Spencer Strider in those tight baseball pants and those quads not getting all excited? That guy's a stud, too.
They love John Carlos Stanton. What are you talking about?
Ooh, Giancarlo.
Giancarlo's better proportion.
Manny, it's like you forgot he existed and someone reminded you.
What funny? He's got to be a top seed too. You ever seen that guy without a shirt on?
All right, we got to take a break here. See you guys on the phones, and we also have one last thought about last night's draft. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break.
But wait, hold up, no seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest, infinity's pride. Now Amy's pacing, no place to slide. She scans the room, but it's just air. The burning question, who took my chair? Ooh, who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gell with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not Pete Bellotti, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? Zach says, hey, I didn't steal, I never mess with Amy's wheels. Ryan's hair is high and proud, but he swears he's innocent, yelling out loud, I got no motive, I'm just tall. His hair almost scrapes the studio wall. But Amy's still standing, no time for lies. Someone's gonna pay, no more alibis. Who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gell with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not Pete Bellotti, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? The chair is gone, Amy's on fire. Infinity Sports has one desire: return the throne before the show, or Amy's wrath will surely glow. Who stole Amy's chair? Zach and Ryan, do you even care? Is it hidden under Hickey's hair? Or maybe Gub's got it, he swears, I swear. It's not Pete Bellotti, he's still not there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? So if you see a chair on the go, rolling around on some late night show, call Infinity Odyssey 2, Amy's coming, and she's looking for you.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. How are we doing on the poll today of the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods today? It's Baltimore. I have not checked any early results on whether Perloff is winning this round or if I'm winning this round. Oh, man, Perloff's winning again?
This one you're handing to me. Is it? It should be a blowout. Let's see if it's, or is this
66%, 34%.
That's closer than I expected. I can't
That's
believe
closer. You're doubling me up.
you don't have Johnny Unitas on your Baltimore Sport Olympus.
And you don't have Jim Palmer, and I think you're making a mistake.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I have Ray Lewis, Cal Ripken, Michael Phelps, and Johnny Unitas. Maybe I lost some points for Phelps, but this should be like an 80-20.
I went with Cal Ripken and Brooks Robinson, also with Jim Palmer and Ray Lewis. This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai's 2025 hybrid vehicle lineup. Advanced safety and technology meets hybrid efficiency. It's the best of both worlds. Dominic is in San Francisco. Dom, what do you have today?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for taking my call. This was hard for the musical artist. The other ones, I can't believe Johnny Unitas isn't like the first one on there.
He is for Perloff.
Yeah, Johnny Unitas.
I would say Cal Ripken be first and Johnny you second.
Cal Ripken for the record.
Well, Cal Ripken an icon too. He's an
He's from Aberdeen, which I think always helps when the icon is the homegrown hero.
Was
too.
his dad? His dad work for the team at the time, or I mean, he's a legend.
Definitely. Doesn't Johnny Unitas, even his name sounds like an outcry from the fans. Johnny Unitas. Gave it a shot. I went with the other Robinson. I went with Frank Robinson.
Could have done it. Now, this is the tough part about some of these Baltimore icons with the Orioles. You're saying 22 years, 23 years, 20 years, all with the same team, whereas Frank Robinson was only there for, I believe, 6 years.
Yeah, that's my issue with Frank Robinson.
He's probably going down as an Oriole. I went with Earl the Pearl Monroe as another one. And for my fourth one, I did something I don't normally do. I don't know if I've ever done it. I went with a contemporary. And I went with Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Man, so this is interesting. And Dominic, thanks for the call. Did you have a Baltimore musicians Mount Olympus for us or no?
Yes, I did. I had a tie between, and I had to go statewide, which is okay because it's not a big state. I went with the tie is between Tony Braxton and Rick Ocasek of the Cars. And this segues to Manny because the hottie on Mount Olympus, which I'm adding now, is going to be by proxy for the spouse of Rick Ocasek, which is Paulina Poroskova.
Dominic. Okay, so I think I get what we want to do here. And I think this is like the caller-driven. We do the Mount Olympus of the 4 sports gods, and then we do one of the best looking. So it's like Adonis or something.
Yeah.
The Adonis is the addendum.
Interesting.
So you do your 4 sports gods, then the Adonis, like the best looking person from that
Brady
city?
Anderson in Baltimore.
Pretty good.
EJ for Saquon Barkley, Lehigh Valley.
Thank you, EJ Stewart, Mandy Rodriguez, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, interns in the house.
There's real crocodiles in there.